Chapter 952. The Earth World. While the robots were using the simplest of rockets to send the source of pollution out of this world, Gu Qingshan returned to the secret database room at the bottom of the desert. Transforming the entire world into metal won't affect you, will it? He took a sip of tea while asking the gold coin. Ding dong, the gold coin replied. That's good, Gu Qingshan replied. The gold coin once again let out a doubtful ding. Gu Qingshan explained, I'm actually thinking of something like this. I want to turn your world into a machine world specifically designed to counter supernatural powers. The gold coin thought for a bit, felt that it wasn't a big deal, and slowly calmed down. At this point, Gu Qingshan put down the cup of tea and seriously asked, Can you still travel through time? The gold coin let out a no. The reason why it was able to travel back from the age of old was because the Earth Creator attached a spell onto the coin, which allowed it to have both the true luck and the ability to travel through time. In the end, the gold coin's main ability was still the true luck that could be used once every 100 days. Gu Qingshan sighed and typed a line of text on the personal holobrain next to him. Frowny face. Begin exploration of outer space. Priority highest. The order was quickly issued. Seeing this line of text on the screen, the world creator immediately began to adjust the focus of the entire world's construction. All the robots that were constructing the city paused, stopped what they were doing, and began to accept new tasks. Right now, Gu Qingshan had to figure out what the outside world of this world was before deciding what to do. Fortunately, he already had the most advanced technology, so he only needed the robots to do everything for him. Gu Qingshan put the cup of tea away, sat cross-legged, and began to close his eyes to cultivate. He still had enough soul points to use. All his cultivation techniques were recorded in his inner sight. The only thing he needed to do now was to continue cultivating and become stronger. A few moments later, Gu Qingshan entered a deep meditative state. This wasn't the time when he carried the Demon King order, where he could increase his cultivation without any worries. The War God system required him to break through on his own under the premise of understanding it. This was also how Gu Qingshan had been cultivating. Without knowing it, his cultivation had already reached 3,000 worlds realm peak. The next step was the cataclysm. This was a great tribulation that surpassed earth, water, fire, and wind. Countless cultivators had fallen before this tribulation. Xie Guhong had also reached this realm, but because he had too many things he couldn't let go of, and the entire sect had been infiltrated by the divinities, constantly monitoring him, he couldn't find a safe place to peacefully break through, so he kept delaying his breakthrough. Naturally, Gu Qingshan was very cautious. She decided to prepare for a period of time according to the insights of her predecessors before breaking through. After all, not only did he have to go through the tribulation this time, but he also had to see the giant corp. Sufficient preparations must be made in advance. Cultivation, sword practice, drink tea. Gu Qingshan repeated these 3 things every day. From the looks of it, even if the entire 900 million world layers were to be destroyed, he wouldn't be in a hurry. Time passed quietly. Gu Qingshan remained unmoved every day. She was as calm as a deep pool of water. One day, Shanna couldn't take it anymore. Young master. She flew out and landed beside him. What's wrong? Gu Qingshan asked. He poured a cup of tea for her and handed it to her. There's something I don't know if I should say or not, Shanna hesitantly said. Speak. The lords who are sealed inside the divine power frost crystals have already been holding on for over a year. They won't be able to hold on much longer. That makes sense. Little Dusk has also been taken away for over a year, indeed. Su Cher and Anna are both in the 7 holy churches, so they're most likely in danger, correct? It's a good thing that you're preparing to break through here, but you'll need to think of another way to save them. Not bad, Shanu, you've improved, Gu Qingshan smiled and praised her. Shanna felt her heart skip a beat and couldn't help but ask, So Gongzi already has a plan? I do, don't worry, Gu Qingshan replied. But the lords can't hold on any longer, Gongzi, what do you plan to do? It's too troublesome to save them one by one, so I won't go, Shanu froze. Then we're just going to let them slowly die inside the crystals? She asked in confusion. No, we only need to save one person, and we can save all of them. Who? The one who brought them to the strife zones, but Lady Black Sea has already been killed, Shanna muttered in a low voice. Gu Qingshan tilted her head back, finished her spirit tea, and slowly spoke. Our true mission is to find Little Dusk. Little Dusk? Shanna was confused. Isn't she talking about saving Lady Black Sea? Why is she talking about Little Dusk again? Gu Qingshan replied. That's right, I've already given the 3 coins to Lola, so I'll be the one to deal with Little Dusk and the Demon King myself. Shanu took a deep breath and said emotionally. I understand, that's right, Gongzi is truly unbelievable. He actually wanted to use space-time reversal to directly save Lady Black Sea from the Spire's timeline and bring her to this moment. Gu Qingshan smiled. Black Sea seems to know a few things about me, perhaps she's an acquaintance of mine from the age of old, so we need to save her, as well as everyone else at the same time, that's why. That's why there's no need to rush, we need to first consider everything before we act. Gongzi, what do you plan to do? Gu Qingshan operated his hollow brain again. Today is the day to explore outer space. Let's see the results together, he said. A screen of light appeared. Countless spaceships rose into the air and flew towards outer space. The world creator appeared below the screen and reported, Godfather, we'll leave the atmosphere in about 2 minutes, we'll see the true outer space. All right, I'm paying attention, Gu Qingshan replied. At this point, the heaven sword flew out and turned into Luo Bingli, landing in front of Gu Qingshan. What are these? She pointed at the spaceships on the screen and curiously asked. Gu Qingshan gave her a cup of tea and replied, a type of flying tool, similar to an airship? Correct, while they were talking, the spaceships had left the atmosphere and reached outer space. The vast sea of stars. How beautiful, Luo Bingli sighed. Shanu explained to her. Every world is different. Some worlds are in the same universe, but on different planets, while others are in another world. For example, the world of the pixies is said to be a single green leaf that floats around, but there are so many fallen leaves in that world that no one knows which leaf they're hiding in. Some worlds are also restricted by the boundaries of their worlds, so they're not in a certain universe, but somewhere else instead. Luo Bingli listened with rapt attention and pondered. If that's the case, then the distribution of the infinite worlds is actually very chaotic, indeed. That's why there are also super-dimensional worlds that are specifically used to connect different worlds. What is super-dimensional? Gu Qingshan didn't talk to them, instead noticing something and turned to the secret database inside the room. Just now, this database had activated its automatic update. A few moments later, a screen of light appeared from the database. A giant covered in gray light appeared from the screen. The Earth Creator. It stared at the void of space and slowly spoke. I've seen many visions of the future, but 2 of them have the highest possibility of coming true. One of them was this. When the world no longer has any life and machines rule this world, my ally will probe the edge of this world to help him determine the direction of his escape. To be frank, I don't wish for such a vision to happen, because if such a future were to happen, it would mean that I'm in great trouble. However, this is a possible future, so I need to make some preparations for it. Otherwise, when the Earth world collapses, not only will the gold coin disappear, but I will also lose most of my power. My friend, when you see this image, you will know that I have already encountered that event. Please do not try to investigate it. That is something that you should not even hear about. Receive this star chart. A path that no one knows of has been drawn inside. It will help you return to where you came from. Finally, if all of this truly happened, it would mean that the fate of countless living beings has already been chosen. All of this will lead to the following scenes of the future. The Earth Creator's voice became gloomy and filled with pain. Frowny face. The all-out war between the Abyss and The infinite races is about to begin, a storm is coming, you must prepare yourself, do not try to save me. Survive. The Earth Creator's image disappeared. Chapter 953. Within the darkness, the dim stars were sparsely scattered, giving off a faint glow. The entire star chart circled around the secret database room, drawing out a detailed route. The darkness that starlight couldn't reach was marked out with tiny lines of Earth-world text to explain the situation. Frowny-face darkness is a boundary that cannot be touched or probed. Prehistoric monsters that have fallen into slumber could be hiding in the darkness, or it could be a natural vortex that leads to the abyss, a chaotic passage to the space-time maze, or a warp gate to the doomsday graveyard. In short, do not touch the darkness. Attention, you must first reach the starting point of the star chart, the Earth Gemini star, then follow the direction of the star chart to pass through the irregular worlds and return to the 900 million world layers. The Earth Gemini star is a safe haven created by the 4 saint pillars within the isolated darkness, providing a place for living beings to rest and replenish their supplies. The Earth Gemini star contains the same law as the Earth world, prohibiting all supernatural powers. Special attention. All entities can only use their supernatural powers once upon entering the Gemini star, after which all powers will be sealed away. Gu Qingshan looked at the entire star chart. Within the endless darkness, there was only a single path that was led by starlight. To return to the 900 million world layers, one must pass through these worlds that were specifically chosen by the 4 saint pillars. After Gu Qingshan looked through the entire star chart, all the light in the secret room retracted, turned into a flickering light, and went into Gu Qingshan's forehead. Lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, you've obtained the secret map of the Star River Corridor. This secret map has a single warp ability that will take you to the Earth Gemini star. Attention, after you're ready, you may activate the power of the star chart to transport you to the Earth Gemini star. Gu Qingshan stood still for a while, then sat down and continued sipping her tea. Shanna had been captivated by what happened just now, so she asked, Gongzi, when are we leaving? Luo Bingli also had a hopeful look in her eyes. She had never seen a technological world before, but now that Shanna mentioned that there were even more worlds out there, she wanted to take a look around. When the machine civilization of this world is officially born, Gu Qingshan said, what counts as the birth of a civilization? Luo Bingli asked. The most basic point is that they are still using human language. In fact, human language is not suitable for them to communicate with each other. For them, it is a burden. Only after they create their own language can they be considered to have begun to awaken, Gu Qingshan said. How long will it take? Shanu asked. Gu Qingshan took out her hollow brain and issued a series of commands to the world creator. I'm now completely delegating power, he said as he operated. From this moment on, the machines will usher in rapid development. As for when they will awaken, it's up to them. Time continued to pass. Gu Qingshan still only did 3 things every day: drink tea, practice swordsmanship, and meditate. It was only recently that he realized that when he carried the Demon King order, his cultivation broke through too quickly. There were many mysteries of Tao that he couldn't understand even if he was able to use. This caused his total spirit energy capacity to skyrocket, but his control over spirit energy wasn't up to par with his current realm. He calmed himself down, went through the cultivation insights of many predecessors once again, then carefully consolidated his cultivation and tried to eliminate any problems that arose from his rapid advancement. Because of that, Gu Qingshan didn't care about the progress of the machine civilization anymore. He was fully immersed in his cultivation, all the way until a certain day arrived. The screen of light turned on and appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. The world creator looked at Gu Qingshan without saying a word. If you have something to say, then say it. Gu Qingshan closed her eyes, thinking about her swordsmanship as she spoke. "Godfather, we have created a new language and language, abandoning the ones you taught us," the world creator replied. "Ah." Gu Qingshan opened her eyes and spoke with a pleased tone. "That is very good, you should have had your own language long ago," the world creator continued. "Furthermore, some of the mech designs that you've made, some of the formulas and construction methods are flawed in our eyes. Let me take a look," Gu Qingshan said. The world creator sent her a few packets of data. Gu Qingshan operated the hollow brain, opened the packets of data, and read through the mech construction formulas that the robots had designed. That's true, I didn't pay attention to these parts, nor did I have the time to study them. You've done very well, finally, I can leave without worry." Gu Qingshan sighed emotionally. "Godfather, there's actually something else," the world creator said. "Speak, through our summary of ancient history, we've come up with the most logical and scientific understanding, which is that the era of humanity has ended, and you should have been abandoned by our era." Gu Qingshan was stunned. He chuckled a bit and asked, "And then?" The world creator replied, "Humans are beings that only know how to steal the world's resources and attempt to control everything. They are the root cause of the world's destruction, so we believe that humanity is a disease of the world that needs to be eliminated," Gu Qingshan replied. "I've said it before, this world needs you to construct it, no one will come. If there are, you should crush them. But that's not enough after all, there is still a single human in this world, and that is you," the world creator replied. "You want to kill me?" Gu Qingshan asked. "Indeed, you've created us, your mission has ended. Only when you die will the era of machines truly arrive," the world creator replied. Gu Qingshan tapped a few times on the packet of data and found a few unassuming fields. He looked at the machine commands and spoke with interest. "I was wondering why there would be a location-type program, so it turns out you want to kill me," the world creator replied. "Please enjoy the last minute of your life. The nuclear warhead we have created will flatten this entire desert." Gu Qingshan hadn't shown any emotions up until now, but now he scowled. "Nuclear warhead? This weapon will contaminate the Earth, don't you know that?" he questioned. The world creator replied, "Your Excellency, to achieve our goal, this is a necessary measure. We will slowly heal the world's wounds," Gu Qingshan muttered regretfully. "Only consciousness has evolved, but enlightenment, education, and spiritual civilization haven't kept up, leading to a lack of proper values? That won't do, the world will be destroyed again sooner or later." He disappeared from the secret room and directly appeared in the sky above the desert. At the end of the horizon, a nuclear warhead was flying towards the desert. Gu Qingshan's figure moved to receive the nuclear warhead and caught it in her hand. The nuclear warhead exploded. Intense light, flames, black clouds, and shockwaves that could destroy everything were grasped in Gu Qingshan's hand, forming an extremely bright sphere of light. Immense energy surged within the sphere's range, but couldn't escape Gu Qingshan's grasp. Not only is this power weak, it also destroys the environment. If you throw it around, it will cause the entire world to suffer. It shouldn't have appeared in the Earth world. Gu Qingshan flicked her finger. The sphere of light turned into a streak of light that shot into the sky, quickly went out of the atmosphere, and disappeared without a trace. All the machines in the world observed this from the satellite. They all fell silent. This was completely different from what they knew of humans. "How regretful, I really am not suited to creating worlds, but I'll have to redo it now. I can still create a few simple, obedient machines. That should be enough to protect this world. Then let's do it." Saying so, Gu Qingshan took out her holobrain and began to activate the destruction command for all the machines. Chapter 954. All the machines of the world had died. The world was in shambles. Shanu and Luo Bingli flew up to Gu Qingshan's side. Luo Bingli looked at the scene on Gu Qingshan's holobrain and chuckled. "What are you laughing at?" Shanu asked in confusion. "Ever since I've known him, He's always been able to take every conceivable possibility into account without fail. Who would have thought he'd end up in such a sorry state one day, Luo Bingley commented. Gu Qingshan also chuckled and followed up. It was my mistake to have too much faith in technology and machines. Shanna glanced at him. Seeing that he was laughing at himself and didn't take it to heart, she slowly calmed down. But she still couldn't help but glare at Luo Bingley. Gongzi will definitely think of something. Luo Bingley reached out to touch her face and revealed an inexplicable smile. Of course, I was only joking, don't take it to heart. Gu Qingshan began to operate her holobrain. Ding ding ding. The gold coin came out and carefully asked. You're asking me about a new plan? For now, I can only use the emergency combat command set that a friend of mine left in the system's programming. This command set was originally meant to deal with some sudden apocalyptic situations, but it should be enough to create a few mech formations that can defend against space invasion. Normally, when I activate this command set, that friend of mine should also come and fight alongside me. But since we're too far away, she probably won't be able to sense the situation here, so we can't count on her. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and confirmed. There won't be any problems with this, I guarantee. Ding ding. The gold coin sighed in relief and chimed. Gu Qingshan began to operate her holobrain. A few moments later, a unique command was activated. The second reconstruction of the Earth world was about to begin. Far away from the 900 million world layers, Gu Qingshan's homeworld. Esteemed lady, this bag suits you very well. It perfectly suits your temperament, is that so? Meow looked at her new bag in the mirror and smiled with satisfaction. At this time, her personal optical computer flashed, and Bali's voice came from it. An old friend has returned. Meow thought for a moment and said, Wait for me, I'll be right back. She put away her holobrain and carried her new bag. A card flew out of her hand and landed on the counter. Bill, please. Thank you, 36,000 credits. Just do it. Thank you. After paying the bill, Meow walked out of the door and immediately disappeared. She appeared in a seaside bar 3,000 miles away and had just sat down in front of the bar. Would you like a drink? Bali asked. No, how's the situation? Meow asked. His injuries are serious. He's resting now, Bali said. Meow sighed. Who would have thought this scattered world outside of the 900 million world layers has become our safe haven, Bali replied. The 900 million world layers is no longer the 900 million world layers, and the divinities are no longer divinities. The heavy shadows are silently accumulating their power, and soon, an even greater calamity will descend upon us. Meow froze. Under normal circumstances, Big Bro is a very slow person. Only when faced with life-threatening danger would he become more sensitive than anyone else. Bali's expression was unprecedentedly serious as he told his sister, Seems like I'll have to climb that tower as well to increase my strength a bit. If Big Bro is going, I'll also go, at another location. Outside the atmosphere of my homeworld. The S.W. Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress. Inside the fortress there were all sorts of advanced equipment and facilities. A large petri dish filled with all sorts of tubes was located at the center of the facility. The petri dish was covered in a layer of ice, as well as the occasional liquid substance that seeped into it. It was impossible to see what was inside. You could only faintly see a woman curled up in the deepest part of the ice. At a certain point, the woman seemed to have sensed something and abruptly moved. A red light lit up outside the petri dish. An electronic voice began to issue a warning. Frowny-faced divine goddess, genetic potential has been released. Currently attempting to activate a second mystic-type power. Please do not move, otherwise everything will be for naught. The woman then stopped moving. At this point, the chill grew even stronger, slowly turning the petri dish into a mass of icy mist that obscured what was inside. Good. Now, all the robots will follow the orders given by the emergency command set to protect this world. Gu Qingshan happily turned off his holobrain. In front of him, several hundred mechs began to move. They had no thoughts, no life, only able to follow a simple set of procedures to maintain the world's original state. The gold coin let out a please chime. Luo Bingli asked, "Gongzi, then should we leave now?" Gu Qingshan turned to look at her, only to see that her eyes were filled with curiosity and excitement for their journey. Shanu worriedly asked, "Gongzi, how about we break through first before we leave?" Gu Qingshan replied, "There's no need. I feel like I still need a bit more time to comprehend my power and laws before I can prepare to break through, not to mention, when we move, the law of the 4 pillars will appear, we'll be under the law of the Earth's protection, there won't be any issues," Shanna hesitantly said. "But that world might be very dangerous. Gongzi still hasn't gotten stronger, I'm worried." Gu Qingshan looked up at the sky. In truth, he could already sense some sort of great danger. This was also the reason why he hadn't left the Earth world yet. But he couldn't hide in this world for the rest of his life. Not to mention, now that everything had been prepared and he had obtained the Earth Creator's technique, he was confident that he could avoid the other party's arrangements. Gu Qingshan smiled and asked, "Shanu, do you know when a person grows the fastest during their cultivation?" When it's time to take a risk, while talking, Gu Qingshan activated the star chart hidden between his eyebrows. The 4 swords quickly landed on his back and silently disappeared. The gold coin returned to his inventory bag by itself. A circle of white light manifested around Gu Qingshan's body, forming a complete halo that enveloped him as he took off into the sky. He left the Earth world and entered the darkness of space. For a world, the universe was only a medium that could store many worlds. But sometimes, the universe was a complete world, and leaving the universe meant leaving the current world. In short, Gu Qingshan followed the guidance of the star chart and flew towards the vast universe. Just a few minutes later, just as he expected, a familiar figure appeared next to him, looking at him through the halo. A fearsome 5-colored figure, snow-white upper body, jet-black arms. The Abyssal Fate Weaver. She had been patiently waiting outside the Earth world, waiting for her prey to take the bait. "Gu Qingshan." The Abyssal Fate Weaver muttered every word, as if she wanted to crush this name with her teeth. "You missed me?" Through the white halo, Gu Qingshan waved at her and greeted her in a friendly manner. "Of course I missed you. For the past several 10,000 years, I've been thinking about you every second," the Abyssal Fate Weaver replied. She controlled her body so that she could better stick to the halo. Gu Qingshan replied, "I don't like women who take too much initiative, too much passion makes me want to avoid them." The Abyssal Fate Weaver stared at him and coldly declared, "This halo will eventually disappear. I'd like to see if you can still talk to me like this." At that time Gu Qingshan kept his mouth shut. When the Abyssal Fate Weaver was about to mock him, he raised his hand and silently gave her the middle finger. "Damn you, just you wait, I'll make you regret ever being born into this world," the Abyssal Fate Weaver roared. Seeing the madness in her eyes, Gu Qingshan tried to come up with a countermeasure. "I've succeeded in angering her into temporarily losing her rationality." "Then what?" The white halo started to vibrate. Both Gu Qingshan and the Abyssal Fate Weaver looked forward, only to see a small planet in the darkness ahead of them. The Gemini Star. "So your destination is the Gemini Star?" The Abyssal Fate Weaver laughed. "You don't even have the courage to enter the Earth world. Do you really have the courage to enter the Gemini Star?" Gu Qingshan appeared confused. "Of course. That guy can see the future, who knows how many tricks it has left in the Earth world. But the Gemini Star is different, it is a free world." Saying so, the Abyssal Fate Weaver tapped the halo. "You done for, Gu Qingshan. I will definitely find you and kill you," Gu Qingshan impatiently replied. "You clearly can't use your powers on this planet, so why are you acting like you're going to eat me alive?" The Abyssal Fate Weaver was furious. At this point, the white halo abruptly shook. This was the power of the 4 Saint Pillars laws. The Abyssal Fate Weaver was sent flying. "Goodbye. Gu Qingshan took that chance to speed up and entered the planet while enveloped in white light. After he escaped, the abyssal fate weaver finally stabilized herself in the dead space. She flew back and silently hovered outside the Gemini star. At this point, there wasn't a single trace of anger on her face, only a look of contemplation. Trying to provoke me? What a laughable trick, but after entering this world, everyone can only unleash their supernatural powers once in the first minute. The abyssal fate weaver thought for a long time. Finally, she seemed to have made up her mind and flew towards the Gemini star. The moment she entered the planet, she began to chant, "There is a respected lady on the Gemini star. She kills for a living, and her strength is formidable. Everyone who has tried to kill her has died. People respect her strength and methods, and are willing to follow her orders." As she spoke, she turned into a tall and beautiful woman. "Enough, Gu Qingshan, I swear that I will definitely find you and make you suffer eternal torture," the woman smirked wickedly as she slowly descended into the planet. As soon as she left, nothing else could be seen in the dark space. Under the cold light of the stars, the empty space was completely silent, not a single sound could be heard. Chapter 955. A Lush Forest. Gu Qingshan was standing on top of a tree. He could sense that he had lost his powers and was once again a normal person. A small stream was flowing not too far ahead. Next to the stream, on the other side of the forest, there was a red brick house. In the entire Gemini star, this was the only red brick house that people could rest in. Other than this place, the only safe place was near the stream. If you don't stay inside the red brick house or near the stream, you wouldn't be too far away from death. Outside of the village and the stream, there were all sorts of eerie things that would be dealt with as soon as they touched them. And the so-called dealt with might be killed, being eaten, absorbed, being imprisoned, crushed, sealed away. Of course, there was another outcome among the many dealt with, transported to another world. This was the best outcome. Gu Qingshan slowly climbed down from the tree and stood next to the stream. "How is it?" he asked. Shanu's voice resounded from the void of space. "It can be broken." Gu Qingshan appeared surprised and muttered, "The world of the four pillars clearly sealed away all supernatural powers, but you can still break it?" "Yes, Gongzi, it can still be broken," Shanu replied. They were discussing Shanu's thaumaturgy, a lawbreaker. Lawbreaker. None of the laws of the infinite worlds can affect this sword, Gu Qingshan blankly muttered. "I'm starting to understand something now. What is it?" "Why the samsara could become humanity's ultimate weapon," a voice suddenly resounded from above. "Shio shio shio. There's not enough time." A jade gourd pendant descended from above and infused a spell into Gu Qingshan's body. "Shio shio 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 shio. Hurry, it's existence." Lines of glowing text appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. "Frowny face, you've temporarily obtained the skill. Existence, fate skill. Existence, when you want to become a certain entity, you only need to say it and that entity will appear in this world. Remaining time for skill release. 29 seconds. You have 28 seconds to unleash your skills, after which you will not be able to unleash your supernatural abilities in this world." At this point, the gourd kept shio shio noises as it described the abyssal fate weaver's transformation. Gu Qingshan immediately understood. There were 12 seconds left. He didn't have time to think. All he could do was activate existence and quickly chant, "There is an old man with a very mysterious background in the Gemini star. He doesn't seem to be from a race that everyone knows, and he specializes in cooking. Legend has it that as long as you eat the noodles he cooks, you can please him and obtain the method to travel to certain worlds from him." After that, Gu Qingshan waited quietly. In Gemini star, there were countless ways to leave this world, but each way led to a different place. For many people who arrived at Gemini star, obtaining information about where to go and how to leave this place was the most important thing. Gu Qingshan, who possessed the star map, knew every way to leave this place. According to the star map, Gu Qingshan must first reach the red brick house and find the key item to travel to the next world. Holding that item, she would follow the stream to the end to find a dry well. Jumping into the dry well, breaking through the wall at the bottom of the well would lead her to a treasure vault. Inside the vault, all the treasures had already been taken, leaving only a few empty stone chests. Gu Qingshan has to put himself into the 5th stone chest from the left, then close the chest and activate the key item. Only then can he be transported to another universe and go to the next world. This was the most secretive path. Time slowly passed. Strangely enough, other than turning into an ugly old man, Gu Qingshan didn't change at all. Gu Qingshan hesitated for a bit and asked the jade gourd pendant, "You saw her turn into a human girl right after activating her fate ability?" "Xiao." The gourd confirmed it. How strange, could it be that only her appearance changed a bit? Gu Qingshan touched his own face. Pfft, an uncontrollable chuckle came from the side. When Gu Qingshan looked back, she saw that it was Shanu. With the lawbreaker ability, the laws of this world were able to bypass her, so she was able to hover in the air without being affected at all. Seeing the smile on Shanu's face, Gu Qingshan also realized what was going on. "I'm already a chef, so there's no need for me to change." However, as soon as the fate ability, existence, was activated, the perception of everyone in this world might have already changed. "Gongzi, you can't do that. Although you've allowed such a person to exist in this world, that occultism of yours won't work in this world," Shanu reminded him. "Who said I was going to cook for people to eat? Then, I'm only letting this world know that such a person exists. Since you have a lawbreaker, you won't be affected by the laws of this world. You can easily transform into my appearance and impersonate me to use that ability." Shanu tilted her head and thought for a bit, then couldn't help but look at Gu Qingshan. "What is it?" Gu Qingshan asked. "Gongzi, you really do have a lot of cunning ideas," Shana commented. "This isn't a cunning idea, it's a contingency plan. I don't think there's a difference. There's a huge difference, Gongzi. If I cook noodles for people to eat, what are you going to do?" "I'll think of a way." Gu Qingshan scowled and couldn't help but sigh. The Gemini star sealed away the Abyssal Fate Weaver's various mystical abilities, but her main body's power isn't normal either. "I think it'll still be very hard for us to kill her, Gongzi. Didn't you want to return to the 900 million world layers? Why do you want to kill her again as soon as you have the chance?" "Because her ability is truly terrifying." The red brick house. A tall and slender woman with a sexy figure pushed open the door. A voice came from the living room. "This place is full, get out." The woman looked over, only to see a few people sitting in the hallway of the living room with their backs against the wall, playing some kind of card game. There were several doors in the hallway with voices coming from inside. There were a total of 10 rooms, all of which were full. The woman looked around but didn't see Gu Qingshan. She continued to walk further inside. The people who were playing cards with their heads lowered noticed that the woman hadn't left and looked up in annoyance. It's her, so it's that lady." They suddenly recalled a certain person. On the Gemini star, there was a respected lady who lived by killing, a powerful and fearsome existence. Every person who tried to kill her had died. Everyone respected her strength and methods, willing to follow her orders. And the woman in front of them was her. The people hurriedly stood up and bowed. "Esteemed lady, do you have any orders for us?" The woman didn't answer. She walked straight inside, ignoring everyone's gazes and greetings, checking every single room. Gu Qingshan wasn't here. Gu Qingshan wasn't here. The woman stood in the hallway and fell into thought. A 3-meter-tall two-headed demon knelt down next to her feet, trying to flatter her. "Lady, do you have any orders for us? Or rather, do you want to kill someone? I am willing to serve you." Everyone respectfully waited on one side, holding their breaths, not even daring to breathe too loudly. Although everyone on this planet had lost their supernatural powers, there were still some terrifyingly powerful people who could control everything with just the power they contained. It was now that the woman asked, "Who among you just arrived recently?" Everyone hesitated and looked down at the woman's feet. The gigantic demon was lying next to her feet, trying to flatter her. "Lady, I also just arrived, is that so?" "That's right, it seems we really are fated." The woman reached her hand out and lightly stroked the demon's ugly and ferocious head. Her hand abruptly went through the demon's skull, as if it was a thin piece of paper, all the way into the demon's head. From the casual way she did it, this didn't take much effort at all. The demon's body trembled and stopped moving. The woman waited for a while. The demon didn't react at all. "Seems like it isn't the mystery of all beings equal." The woman pulled her hand out of the brain-filled head and muttered in disappointment. Chapter 956. The bewitching tall slender woman stood in the red brick house, thinking about where that person went. While that person was standing in the stream next to the red brick house, taking off his shoes and soaking his feet in the water, enjoying the cool water. Seeing Gongzi's calm expression, Shanu thought about everything that happened and hesitated to voice out her worries. At this moment, a gust of mountain wind blew over, mixed with the fresh smell of the soil after the rain. Looking up, he saw the pine forest on the opposite hillside creeping in the wind like waves. The fog was born, rolling up the sky full of withered yellow leaves, flying halfway up the mountain into the distant sky, and then gradually disappearing. Gu Qingshan looked up at this, seemingly recalling a distant memory, and didn't say anything. As the measure tribulation approached, he could already feel it. At this moment, everything that happened since he started cultivating couldn't help but appear in front of his eyes, causing him to fall into a tangle of emotions. For a long time, he was immersed in his thoughts and comprehension, thinking about how to find the origin. When he finally understood, the measure tribulation would come. Night had just arrived. The stream was silent. The moon was as bright as frost. The young man was as beautiful as a painting. Shanu silently stared at his back and slowly understood. While fighting against the abyssal monsters, Gongzi was still taking the time to silently accumulate his strength for the sake of advancing. It's best not to disturb him at this point. Shanu sighed, sat down next to Gu Qingshan, and dipped her slender white feet into the stream. Everything in the past was cut off at this moment. She would protect him like this, from this moment until eternity. No matter what happens after this, no matter what difficulties they face, she will always be by his side. The night deepened. Gu Qingshan woke up from his complicated memories. It was now that he noticed that Shanu was still by his side. "Are you hungry?" "I'm not hungry, but Gongzi's cooking is really good. I want to eat." "Then let's eat first, then we'll go kill her." "I'll listen to Gongzi." The red brick house. The tall slender woman lightly licked the blood on her finger. Only after she felt that her finger was completely clean did she coldly speak. Next, a man with a single horn on his head came forward, trembling and smiling. "Madam, I've lived in this world for a few dozen years. Everyone here can prove that." Silence reigned. The stench of blood gradually filled the corridor. The man looked around and couldn't help but laugh bitterly. The tall slender woman looked at him and asked a bit confusedly, "Staying in this world would make you lose all of your abilities, and you would only be able to live in this cage-like house, or you would have to stay by the water's edge. This is basically a prison. Why are you willing to stay here for so long?" The man replied, "Because of the apocalypse, ma-am. The apocalypse has swept through every world, from the space-time mystery nest to the eternal abyss, from the 900 million world layers to the doomsday cemetery. No matter how powerful an entity is, they can't avoid it. And this Gemini star is a forbidden land of the 4 Saint Pillars, so it will definitely be one of the last worlds to be destroyed." The tall slender woman went silent for a while, then said, "You only need to receive one of my attacks." The man was overjoyed. "Thank you for your forgiveness, madam." He took a stance on the spot, adjusted his breathing, and crossed his hands in a defensive posture. Although all of his abilities were sealed, when he assumed this posture, his entire temperament was completely different. If he was a coward who was afraid of death before, then right now, he had suddenly turned into a peerless combatant who could crush the stars with his bare fists. The tall, slender woman glanced at him and praised. "Martial arts, huh? Your fundamentals are very solid. I can faintly sense a vast heaven-breaker intent. Why would someone like you be willing to live in this place?" The man said nothing. The tall, slender woman slowly stood up and spoke with a cold tone. "Answer me, or die." The man stubbornly remained silent. The abyssal fate weaver scowled, went silent for a while, then smiled. She quickly stepped forward, clenched her tiny fist, and threw it at the man. The man roared in anger and received it with both arms. Boom! He was sent flying like a cannonball, crashing into the wall at the end of the corridor as he coughed up blood. The abyssal fate weaver pulled her fist back and spoke with a bored tone, such a dejected, martial spirit. "So you're a piece of trash who was struck down by the past. Even if you're still alive, you're already dead. You're not the one I'm looking for." She stood on her tiptoes and carefully walked towards the door to avoid staining her clothes with the blood and corpses on the way. In the entire red brick house, apart from the man just now, everyone else had been killed. The man knelt on the ground with a look of pain in his eyes, then suddenly couldn't help but shout. "The apocalypse will destroy everything you hold dear. You say that you look down on me, but that's only because you haven't encountered anything that could truly bring you pain." The tall, slender woman was about to pull the door handle when she heard that and stopped. There seemed to be a flash of emotion in her eyes. The woman disappeared. A split second later, she reappeared in front of the door. "I can ignore a piece of trash, but you have to understand, no matter what, a man shouting at a woman is never right." She raised the man's head in her hand and spoke seriously. The door was opened. The tall, slender woman walked out with the head in her hand. Outside the door was a forest, a small stream, as well as an endless mountain range. The night was hazy. The moon in the long ravine disappeared without a sound. The tall, slender woman walked to the stream, threw the head on the bank, and walked deeper into the water, allowing the water to wash over her body. Clusters of crimson light began to spread from her body, forming layers of red clouds within the light of the water, then faded away and disappeared without a trace. The tall, slender woman stood up from the stream and slowly walked back to the bank. "That damned Gu Qingshan, where did he go? Could it be that he has already left this world, or is he hiding somewhere along the stream?" The tall, slender woman thought in irritation. At this point, a gust of cold, water-like night wind blew towards her. The tall, slender woman's eyebrows loosened as she appeared a bit surprised. The wind carried a certain scent. This was a warm scent that had been buried deep within her memories since the beginning of countless years. The tall, slender woman took a few deep breaths. "How interesting, there's actually someone bored enough to do such a thing at this time," she muttered as she followed the direction of the wind. Following the stream for a few miles, the scene in front of her appeared in front of her. An old man was cleaning up the pots and pans. Gu Qingshan was standing next to him, holding a large bowl of noodles in her hand. The fragrance that came from the wind just now came from his bowl. While eating, Gu Qingshan spoke. "Thank you for your hospitality. The noodles you cooked were so delicious that I couldn't help but finish the soup as well," the old man happily replied. "It's good that you like it." Gu Qingshan gave the empty bowl to the old man and asked, "The world I want to go to, please tell me how to get there." "That's no problem at all," the old man laughed heartily. Looking at the old man, the tall, slender woman suddenly recalled something. In this world, there was a legendary figure, the old guide. His origins were extremely mysterious, seemingly not of any known race. Furthermore, he was a master of cooking. Legend has it that as long as one ate the noodles he cooked, they would be able to please him and obtain the method to travel to a certain world from him. And right now, Gu Qingshan was doing exactly that. At this point, the two of them seemed to have noticed something and looked towards her. Gu Qingshan, Now that I've found you, do you really think you can run away? Saying so, the tall, slender woman swung her arms and slowly walked forward. Looking at her, Gu Qingshan's expression slowly turned serious. Who would have thought that as an abyssal monster, you would have such high attainments in martial arts? The tall, slender woman scoffed. There are a lot of things you wouldn't expect. As she spoke, she was still as calm as a virgin, but as soon as she said so, she had already charged forward like a bolt of lightning. Gu Qingshan drew her sword to receive her attack. Without any probing, the two of them both attacked with their full power. Boom! As fist and sword clashed, the sound of impact resounded like thunder. The tall, slender woman fluttered back like a willow catkin and landed on top of the stream. Gu Qingshan retreated a few dozen feet, dispersing the force of the other party's punch. The other party's strength was too great. Fortunately, Gu Qingshan had benefited from the life-sacrificial dance a few times, so her body was much stronger than before, otherwise she might not have been able to take that punch head-on. Good fist technique. Gu Qingshan's eyes glowed. The tall, slender woman looked at him and scoffed. Your sword chi is a bit weaker than I thought. Of course, you don't need to care about life and death, but I don't want to die. Gu Qingshan rubbed her numb hand. The tall, slender woman suddenly laughed. So after all that you've done, you're still afraid of death in the end? Of course, only those who are afraid of death would know to fear death and know how to deal with it, Gu Qingshan slowly explained. Chapter 957. The punches were like raging waves that wanted to devour the sword. But the sword would always be able to appear at the most crucial point, just as the waves were about to collapse, blocking the punches. 1 breath, 2 breath, 3 breath. Both sides were fighting for so long, each time the sword and fist clashed, the air would resound with a resounding noise. You've been tricked, the woman loudly laughed. Somehow, she managed to slip through the countless sword phantoms and threw a punch straight at Gu Qingshan's chest. If this punch landed, it would be enough to blow a normal person's entire chest out. But Gu Qingshan's sword had already been thrust forward, so she couldn't parry in time. Dong! A few moments passed. Gu Qingshan sent the other party flying again. The tall, slender woman flipped in the air and lightly landed on the ground. I never knew an abyssal monster's fist technique to be so profound, Gu Qingshan sighed. Not only that, although the other party's body had taken human form, the toughness of her body structure wasn't something a normal person's sword could cut through. She was able to block a sword with her bare hand. Gu Qingshan had tried many times to probe her, even stabbing the other party with her sword several times, but still couldn't find a weakness. What a perfect body for combat! I can't find a weakness at all. A dual-wielding style isn't something that just anyone can pull off, most of them are just trying to please the crowd. If you're also trying to act mysterious, then your sword will become my sword, and you will die by your own sword. The tall, slender woman looked at Gu Qingshan and spoke with a calm tone. Her gaze fell onto Gu Qingshan's hand. Just now, Gu Qingshan had pulled out another sword from the stream to block her attack. Gu Qingshan's body slightly lowered, her swords hanging by her side as she replied. I don't joke around with my own life. The stream water mixed with countless rocks and dirt as it exploded under his feet. Gu Qingshan's figure flashed, leapt across the stream, and appeared in front of the tall, slender woman. The two swords turned into two continuous afterimages that enveloped the woman's body. The woman's expression didn't change. She stretched out her hands into claws, trying to grab the sword with her bare hands. However, two afterimages agilely wrapped around her wrists, twisting and pushing. The woman lost her balance and took a few steps back. The two swords coiled around her like poisonous snakes, but they were repelled by her crossed fists. Gu Qingshan also took a step back. The tall, slender woman stared at him and slowly said, Those who use dual swords have too many thoughts. She defended with one fist, while the other turned into a vertical palm in front of her fist, forming a defensive stance in the stream. Gu Qingshan looked at her posture, and a strange feeling arose in her heart. In a battle of life and death, those who dared to turn their fists into palms and use both fists and palms at the same time were definitely not careless. Her martial arts cultivation was not fake. But why did she know the martial arts of the human race? Gu Qingshan lowered her swords and said, "Actually, I can use many swords, but I can't use spiritual power here." "Nonsense," the tall, slender woman chuckled. "If my power wasn't sealed, do you think I would need to spend so much effort to kill you?" At this point, a gaze landed on them, drawing Gu Qingshan's attention. The old guide's gaze appeared a bit uneasy. She was coldly watching from the sidelines, feeling a bit anxious. As they had agreed before, she would transform into the old guide, while Gongzi gave up on the technique and turned into a normal person. Then the two of them came to trick. Gongzi said this was a trick, the Abyssal Fate Weaver. They were going to use the occultism technique to make the Abyssal Fate Weaver reveal some information, then use that chance to attack. But now, Gongzi still hasn't used the secret signal. Gu Qingshan understood Shanna's thoughts and subtly gestured for her to stay calm. The Abyssal Fate Weaver is too strange. Gu Qingshan faintly noticed some sort of secret, so her original plan had to be put aside for now. Right now, a small fist pierced through the air, howling as it flew forward. Gu Qingshan parried it with both swords. All of a sudden, he saw a palm. Oh no! The fist was a feint, the palm was the killing blow. It was already too late to retract her swords. Gu Qingshan abruptly twisted her body to avoid the palm and used her shoulder to ram into the other party's body. Bam! The tall, slender woman was sent flying. She lightly landed in the water and stood still, a bit contemplative on her face. "You're clearly a sword cultivator, but you're able to use close-range martial arts so easily. This isn't right. What isn't right? The path of swordsmanship is the path that rejects other cultivation techniques the most," the tall, slender woman carefully recalled and understood. "I remember now, back in the Grand Divine Palace, you had a certain thought. You were glad that you could use various types of power, because if you couldn't do that, you wouldn't be able to use your card identity, and you wouldn't be able to make the Demon King Order give up all of its abilities for you to fully evolve. In other words, in truth, your soul is in a liberated state." The tall, slender woman looked at Gu Qingshan again with a complicated expression. Gu Qingshan's heart sank. This monster, she's too terrifying. Able to see through people's minds, able to take on any identity, and her own strength is terrifyingly strong. Other than that, she can revive after death. He was a bit hesitant. A monster who knows martial arts and fist techniques, she must have a lot of secrets on her. If various thoughts flashed through Gu Qingshan's mind one by one. Countless possibilities were popping up and disappearing in his mind, helping him to make deductions. But at this point, another worry silently manifested in his mind. If she manages to find Lola, then all of my plans would be for naught. At that time, I wouldn't be able to obtain the 3 coins, and Lola would also be in danger. As for the combatants who were heavily wounded by the Soul Shrieker and sealed inside the ice crystals, as well as Lady Black Sea, who I'm clearly connected to, I wouldn't be able to save them. But she must have a shocking secret on her body. Gu Qingshan's thoughts quickly turned. Compared to secrets, I should be thinking about how to deal with her. Without a powerful card like Earthen Dual Body. If I want to kill her again and delay her revival, I can only do so on this Gemini star. Once I leave the Gemini star, her power will be completely unsealed, and I won't be her match at all. Even the bygone-era humans couldn't do anything to her. If I let her return to the 900 million world layers from here, how many days do Su Cher and Anna have left to live? Gu Qingshan's gaze changed. The tall, slender woman immediately sensed the change in his aura. She asked with interest, "Ah? Just now you were still testing me, but now your aura has completely stopped. You're forcing out all of your power. Are you finally going to risk your life to fight me?" Gu Qingshan replied, You have a lot of secrets, but I've suddenly realized that my life is more important than your secrets." He swung his sword a few times and held it tightly. The tall, slender woman stood sideways, her fist in front of her palm behind her, her knees slightly bent as she muttered, "Your reasoning is correct, but your life will be in my hands." In the stream, their gazes met, both of them exuding killing intent. While they were about to move, a voice abruptly cut in. "Young man, do you want to know where the warp point is or not?" Gu Qingshan and the woman both turned to the stream. The old guide looked at Gu Qingshan and smiled. "I can tell you how to get to the world you want to go to." Gu Qingshan's thoughts moved. "Ah, thank you, I really do want to know where that place is, but someone's bothering me right now," he said. "Kill. How could I forget such a great helper like Shanu? In this world, her power isn't restricted at all." Chapter 958. To prevent the Abyssal Fate Weaver from probing him, as soon as Gu Qingshan left the Earth world, he sealed off his thoughts. This was to prevent the other party from probing his mind and finding out about the star chart. Ever since returning from the Age of Old, now that she was on the Gemini star, standing next to the stream, Gu Qingshan understood a certain thing. The Abyssal Fate Weaver knows all of my trump cards. The only thing she doesn't know is the star chart. In other words, the star chart will determine her judgment. "Ah, thank you, I really do want to know where that place is, but someone's bothering me right now," Gu Qingshan replied. Hearing Gu Qingshan's words, the old guide slowly stood up from the rock. "It's fine, you've eaten the noodles I cooked, you're quite a decent young man, I'll help you stop her." He lightly floated up and landed next to Gu Qingshan. An invisible fluctuation appeared from his body, turning into a gentle breeze that swept around. Seeing this, the tall, slender woman's expression turned serious. "Impossible. You might be the old guide, but this is the Gemini star. What right do you have to use the power inside your body?" she muttered. "Little girl, you should step aside, lest this old man injure you," the old guide said. While saying so, the old man gestured towards the stream. The water rose up, turning into a dancing water dragon that swam back and forth in the night sky. On the Gemini star, this was an earth-shattering sight. The tall, slender woman looked at the old man with flickering eyes. "Who exactly is this person?" "That's right, Gu Qingshan has a jade gourd pendant that allows her to become completely invisible and borrow other people's abilities. If this person was created by borrowing my ability, how could he not be bound by the Gemini star?" She hesitated and said nothing, but instinctively took a defensive stance. As soon as Gu Qingshan saw that, he knew that the other party wouldn't easily lower his guard. He silently sighed and prepared to execute the second plan. But something unexpected happened. Out of both of their expectations, a commotion could be heard from the lower stream. As we all know, to survive in this world, other than being inside a red brick house, the only way is to get close to a stream. Only these two places did not have the existence of those strange things. Perhaps because Shanu's technique caused too much commotion, the water dragon that she created drew the attention of the other entities around the water. Moments later, a half-naked, dark-skinned man with a large saber in his hand ran over from downstream. The man also saw the three of them and stared straight at Shanu. "The old guide," he exclaimed. As everyone knew, there was an old man with a very mysterious origin in the Gemini star. He didn't seem to be from any known race, and he specialized in cooking. It was said that as long as one ate the noodles he cooked, they would be able to please him and obtain the method to travel to certain worlds from him. The burly man threw away his knife without hesitation and knelt in the stream. He bowed repeatedly and said, "Old mister, please give me a bowl of noodles to eat." He took out a silver ingot from his trouser pocket and offered it with both hands. The three of them, who were originally at daggers drawn, froze. What was going on? The tall woman looked at the old guide with a bewildered expression, wondering if this was also a trap. After all, Gu Qingshan is too sly. I've seen with my own eyes how he managed to trick the entire divine race into becoming his loyal subordinate. I heard that this ability is called acting? What a terrifying ability! For now, the tall, slender woman decided to remain cautious and coldly observe. Gu Qingshan silently glanced at Shanu. Shanu immediately understood. Ahaha, you want to eat my cooking? She asked with her old voice. Yes, old mister, I want to eat your cooking, the burly man confirmed again. Don't be ridiculous, this is the legendary old guide. How could I let go of such a rare chance? Shanu washed her hands with some water, used various spices, and quickly cooked a bowl of noodles. The man appeared excited, received the bowl, didn't care if it was hot or cold and gulped it down, finishing both the soup and the noodles. After eating the noodles, the man appeared to be reminiscing, occasionally sighing. Shanu and Gu Qingshan said nothing. A few moments later, the man regained his senses and clasped his fist again. Old mister, may I ask how I can travel to Flying Snow World? Ah? You want to warp to Flying Snow World? Shanu asked. The man sighed emotionally. Back in the day, this one was also the strongest in Flying Snow World, hoping that one day I would break through the void of space and come to this place. Who would have thought that this place would be so barren and desolate? This one couldn't use all of my skills, and I didn't know how to leave, so I could only endure every day. Saying so, his voice sounded like he was about to cry. Old Mr. Wan Wang, please show me the way. This one swears to be a good person after I return and never break through the void of space again, I beg of you. Shanu thought for a bit, then smiled. Since you ate a bowl of this old man's noodles, this one will show you a way. Consider yourself lucky. Follow this stream and walk 30 meters to the east. There is a jade tablet with the words East Wind written on it. Pick it up, use your thumb to touch the words on the jade tablet, and you will be transported to the Flying Snow World. The man asked. I won't be killed or eaten by it? I won't. My soul won't be sucked out and sealed for 10,000 years? I won't be blown to pieces. I won't. If you don't believe me, you don't have to do as I say. 30 meters, that's quite close. Thank you, old mister. The man gritted his teeth and made his decision. He really didn't want to stay in this world any longer. The burly man couldn't wait to run out and found a jade tablet on the ground 30 meters away from the stream. He used his thumb to touch the tablet. East Wind. He excitedly called out. The jade tablet abruptly trembled, giving off a ripple that distorted the void of space. Shah! The man's entire body disappeared from this world, no longer leaving any trace. At this point, Shanu's inner sight sent her voice to Gu Qingshan's mind. Gongzi, due to the urgent situation just now, in order to gain the Fate Weaver's trust, I sent this person to another world. Perhaps knowing that Gu Qingshan couldn't use inner sight, she continued to explain. That was a world of magic. According to the star chart, men had already gone extinct in that world, only women remained, and they were all exceptionally powerful. Although that man just now couldn't win against them, he was the only man, so he should be able to survive. Shanu's tone was a bit panicked. Gongzi, you're not talking about me, are you? What else could Gu Qingshan say? He could only quickly recall the description of that world from the star chart. Because men had gone extinct, the entire world was facing the threat of human extinction. Gu Qingshan cleared his throat and silently prayed for that man. Take care of yourself, brother. After the man left, the cracks in the void of space began to ripple like water before returning to normal. This was the characteristic of space warp. In other words, there really was a warp just now. The tall, slender woman looked at the jade tablet on the ground, then at the mysterious old guide. Gu Qingshan doesn't have this kind of ability. Indeed, Gu Qingshan has a lot of tricks up his sleeve, but how would he know how to travel to a completely unrelated world? The tall, slender woman was finally a bit convinced. At this point, the old guide continued. Young lady, this young man is my friend. If you continue to block my way, I'll have to take action. The tall, slender woman's eyes turned a bit, then suddenly smiled. Old sir, I'm not trying to stop you, I just want to try a bowl of your cooking as well. Wait! Gu Qingshan shouted. Old sir, you can't let her eat your food, she's not a good person. The old guide glared at him and spoke in dissatisfaction. What good or bad person, as long as she's willing to eat my noodles, she's a good girl. That's not it, old sir, she's actually a monster. The old guide looked at the tall, slender woman and doubtfully evaluated her. The tall, slender woman displayed an alluring smile and said, I simply want to try your excellent cooking, please allow me to try it. The old guide grinned and nodded. Young lady, you have good eyes. While they were talking, the water dragon in the sky scattered. The old guide walked up to the tall, slender woman, took out his cooking utensils, and began to cook noodles. Old sir, you can't, Gu Qingshan hurriedly said. Cut the nonsense, the old guide ignored him. Gu Qingshan was standing in the China stream from afar, wanting to stop him but not daring to, so he had a helpless expression on his face. Seeing him like this, the tall, slender woman wasn't in a hurry to act. Gu Qingshan, she casually said, wherever you go, I'll go, what do you think? By the way, once you leave this world, it will be your death, so enjoy the last moments of your life. Chapter 959. A bowl of steaming hot noodles was quickly prepared. The old guide waved his hand, sending the bowl and chopsticks in front of the tall, slender woman. The tall, slender woman received the bowl with her hand. She glanced at the old guide. Now that my power has been sealed, I can't estimate the other party's strength. Fine, who cares, I can revive after I die anyways. The tall, slender woman's gaze fell onto the bowl of noodles. She was still a bit hesitant. At this point, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but rush forward. He stared closely at the bowl of noodles and swung his sword, seemingly wanting to do something. The old guide struck his palm from afar. A sound of vibration resounded in the air. As soon as Gu Qingshan rushed forward, she was pushed back. The old guide spoke with a solemn expression. Don't cause trouble. Gu Qingshan was knocked back several feet by this palm strike and fell into the stream. He leaned on his sword and struggled to stand up, looking extremely haggard. The tall, slender woman looked at him, then at the bowl in her hand. The man from before had already eaten, Gu Qingshan had also eaten, none of them had any issues. Hesitantly, she first took a sip of the soup, felt it, and her frown loosened. Although her abilities had been sealed, she herself was a master of poison, so she only needed to taste it to know that there was no poison in this bowl of noodles. The tall, slender woman picked up the chopsticks and slowly ate. The noodles were chewy, the soup was delicious. A bowl of noodles wouldn't even taste like this at most. When was the last time I ate something like this? Steam drifted out from the bowl of soup, brushed past the woman's eyes, then scattered into the night wind. The tall, slender woman quickly finished her meal, washed the bowl and chopsticks in the stream, then returned them to the old guide. Seeing this, Gu Qingshan's mind was filled with countless thoughts. The man only ate the noodles, then put the bowl and chopsticks back on the rock, and didn't care anymore. But the tall, slender woman was different, she even washed her own bowl and chopsticks after eating the noodles. These were all daily habits that a person had slowly developed over the years, so they couldn't be faked. As a combatant, no one would purposefully pretend for such a small matter, nor would they make themselves feel wronged. So this woman is truly strange. What kind of existence was she? At this time, the tall woman sincerely thanked him. Old mister, I haven't eaten such food for a long time. Thank you for giving me this delicacy. The old guide said happily, as long as you like it. The mystic-type spell had been completed. Now it was time to reap the rewards. The old guide opened his mouth, about to ask that question. Before everything began, after Gu Qingshan and she had discussed it, the two of them decided to ask, what is your greatest weakness? Only by knowing her weakness would he be able to kill her. Otherwise, there was no point in talking about it. But at this moment, Gu Qingshan suddenly shouted, Wait! The old guide was stunned. The tall, slender woman also turned around and looked at him with killing intent. Wait. There's nothing we can do to buy time now, Gu Qingshan. The tall, slender woman pridefully spoke. You won't be able to go to any world because I'll be following you closely, but if you stay in this world, we'll die sooner or later. I can't die, but you only have one life. Saying so, she walked against the stream towards Gu Qingshan. Behind her, the old guide looked at Gu Qingshan with a doubtful expression. We already agreed on this. Why didn't Gongzi let me ask? Gu Qingshan loudly said. I have a question. What do you want? Do you want to surrender? The tall, slender woman chuckled. Gu Qingshan didn't care about her attitude and continued. I want to know, under what circumstances did you decide to infiltrate humanity and carry out your assassination? The tall, slender woman stood still and the smile on her face disappeared. What does this have to do with you? You're too curious, she coldly said. But Gu Qingshan wasn't saying that for her to hear. The old guide, Shanu, understood what Gongzi meant. A bowl of noodles can only ask a single question. Gongzi is telling me that he changed the question. What he wants to know is this new question. Shanu worriedly glanced at Gu Qingshan. If she asks this question, she won't be able to find out the Fate Weaver's weakness. Gu Qingshan resolutely nodded, telling her to ask. Shanu hesitated for a bit, then asked the tall, slender woman. I want to know, under what circumstances did you decide to infiltrate humanity and carry out your assassination? Mystic skill. See you once again, activate. The tall, slender woman could only hear endless echoes echoing around her ears as she appeared confused. For a split second, she seemed to have returned to the past. Without any warning, the tall, slender woman started sobbing. As if she was talking in her sleep, she spoke in a low voice. The apocalypse has come, countless comrades are dying in front of us every day, the primordial heaven realm is heading towards destruction. We received orders from the higher-ups to search for a suitable hiding spot for humanity on the surface of the abyss, as a path of retreat for humanity, but as soon as we entered the abyss, we ran into an unexpected situation. The monster that had been slumbering for eternity at the bottom of the abyss suddenly moved in its sleep. It was the most powerful entity in the entire abyss. Even a slight movement from it was enough to cause a catastrophic abyssal storm within the abyss. We were only able to resist the presence of the abyss's surface, so we couldn't do anything against the countless eerie presences that came from the endless abyss. Many people were infected by that presence, assimilated, and mutated. As soon as the higher-ups of humanity learned of the situation, they immediately sealed off our path of retreat, leaving us to die in the abyss. Not too long after, everyone died. I was assimilated by the abyss. Saying so, the tall, slender woman's expression shook a bit before returning to normal. She looked at Gu Qingshan, who was standing a few dozen feet away from her, and asked in confusion, You've lost your will to fight. Could it be that you're really thinking of how to surrender? Gu Qingshan looked straight into her eyes. Within her eyes that were full of ridicule, there was no longer any sadness or anger like before. She didn't even know what she just said. Gu Qingshan's mind was in turmoil, completely stunned by the information he just heard. So she was a human. She was a combatant of the bygone era. Noticing his chaotic emotions, the tall, slender woman stopped hesitating. A chance. She leapt up and charged towards Gu Qingshan again. Gu Qingshan was still contemplating the entire situation, so as he saw the tall, slender woman charging at him, he retreated. Coward, you don't want to fight me? The tall, slender woman shouted. Bam! A heavy sound of impact resounded. The tall, slender woman was knocked back into the stream. She turned around. Old mister, why did you stop me? She asked. The old guide looked at her with a complicated expression in his eyes and replied, You've all eaten the food I cooked, you're all good children, there's no need to fight and kill. The tall, slender woman looked at him and tilted her head. Old mister, did you know? Although you can use your power, I'm undying. Undying? That ability of yours can still be used in this place? The old guide appeared surprised. That's right, if you try to stop me from killing him, then I'll have to offend you. I'll continue to pester you and fight you until the day of your death," the tall, slender woman replied. "That seems to be the case," Shannu regretfully said. "Your body is the strongest defensive weapon. I can't hurt you with my current strength." In the battle just now, Gu Qingshan was using the twin swords Heaven and Earth. Although both the swords and Gu Qingshan's power were sealed, the twin swords were still incredibly sharp divine weapons. But when the two swords struck the tall, slender woman's body, they didn't even leave a single mark. Hearing that, the tall, slender woman appeared triumphant. Chapter 960. During the bygone era, the abyssal Fate Weaver infiltrated the human race to take revenge, killing several combatants before finally being caught. The battle between her and the leaders of the human race was already a confrontation between the peak powers of the human race. In comparison, Gu Qingshan was only a 3,000 worlds realm cultivator, not even a paragon realm cultivator. In the bygone era, he would only be a youth. To be exact, he was a civilian teenager. Because of that, even if Shannu was as powerful as Gu Qingshan, she still wouldn't be able to win against this powerful enemy who once stood at the peak of humanity, only to be assimilated into the abyss. Indeed, on the Gemini star, the tall, slender woman lost the power granted by the abyss. At the same time, she was unable to use her own power. But her body wasn't something that Gu Qingshan could harm. Fortunately, they were on Gemini star. Otherwise, the difference in strength between the two sides would be like the difference between heaven and earth. In that case, Gu Qingshan wouldn't even have the chance to fight back. Gu Qingshan stared at the tall, slender woman and suddenly realized something. Why would the sleeping magic dragon desire the power of the abyss so much? It was imprisoned in the abyssal jail, constantly watching over the abyssal Fate Weaver's body. It clearly understood just how terrifying the tall, slender woman's power was after she underwent abyssal assimilation. That was why the sleeping magic dragon desired the power of the abyss so much. It looked forward to its own transformation into the abyss, and then completely break away from the control of the human race. This was the starting point of all of Magic Dragon's plans. Gu Qingshan took a few more steps back, keeping her distance from the tall, slender woman. The command center of the Abyss Jail had introduced her ability before. At that time, the command center once said that she had infiltrated the human race in disguise as a high-level leader in an attempt to destroy the entire human world. There were too many things that could be discussed here. So much time had passed that the truth was already very vague. But on the Gemini star, as the only one who could use her power, Shannu unleashed a mystic-type skill. "I'll see you once again." Under such circumstances, the mystic-type skill wouldn't be resisted, and the Fate Weaver wouldn't lie. Therefore, the truth seemed somewhat clear, but it was only an extremely short fragment of that era. The whole thing was still very vague. Gu Qingshan suppressed the anxiety in her heart and tried her best to remain calm so that she could continue thinking. "I actually have something to say to you," he said. "What?" the tall, slender woman asked. "All this time, I forgot to thank you." The tall, slender woman looked at him strangely. "Indeed," Gu Qingshan continued. "The 3 coins allowed me to continuously return to the age of old, but the process was so dangerous that even I had to waste several opportunities. For example, I was almost devoured by a monster in the fog of space-time, killed by the law of time in the Bai Hua Palace, and even when I was ignorant enough to stare into the eyes of the yellow dragon's soul. At that time, if it wasn't for you watching over me and pulling me back to the future right before I died, I'm afraid I would have died long ago." The tall, slender woman said nothing. Gu Qingshan continued. "The 3 coins can only travel through space-time, they can't bring me back from the dead. It was you who controlled the coins and pulled me back to the future before I died." That's not it," the tall, slender woman replied. "You've underestimated the power of the 3 coins. I was actually activating the power of the coins when you died, reversing time to the moment when you were still alive, then pulling you back to the present moment. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. This method seems a bit simpler, there's no need to be so precise. Gu Qingshan clasped her fist. Thank you, otherwise I would have really died. The tall, slender woman appeared confused and said, When you tried to kill me at the time, you didn't have this attitude right now. Gu Qingshan sincerely replied, You were countless times stronger than I was, you had countless ways to kill me, and I only had that one chance to protect myself, so you're telling me these useless things now. What exactly do you want? The tall, slender woman asked. Gu Qingshan spoke with a stern expression. You've been planning for so long, what exactly are you trying to do? Why do I have to tell you? Because, Gu Qingshan raised the two swords in his hands. The twin swords heaven and earth. The twin swords were in his hands. The tall, slender woman blankly stared at the two swords and muttered, The main body of the abyssal weapons, the demon suppression weapons at the bottom of the endless abyss, the protector of extinction, the sword of destiny, the key to infinite worlds, heaven and earth. During their battle just now, she had tried to grab these two swords, but failed. Do you really want these two weapons? Gu Qingshan asked. The tall, slender woman's eyes flickered and laughed deprecatingly. The Soul Shrieker was a true monster of the abyss, an entity that I couldn't possibly win against, and even such a thing was killed. In the end, these two swords fell into the hands of the weakest one. What a mockery of power! No, I'm not the weakest one, Gu Qingshan replied. Ah? What do you mean? If the Soul Shrieker had the same level of power as I do, I bet that it wouldn't have been able to reach my current level. The tall, slender woman silently thought for a while, then nodded in agreement. However, there are no ifs in this world, the tall, slender woman continued. I admit that you've exerted your power to the limit, but the Gemini star doesn't have a technique like Earthen Dual Body. If you don't hand over your swords, She stopped herself. The old guide flew over and landed next to Gu Qingshan. It seems like at this moment, the old guide had chosen to stand on the same side as Gu Qingshan. The tall, slender woman scowled. This guy was able to use his ability on the Gemini star, so he's quite troublesome. Indeed, he can't kill me, but if he wanted to take Gu Qingshan away, I wouldn't be able to stop him. The other party only needed to take Gu Qingshan away, and occasionally throw a few offensive spells at me to help Gu Qingshan resolve her crisis. Old sir, why do you insist on protecting him? The tall, slender woman couldn't help but ask. The old guide glared at her. He ate a bowl of my noodles, so I'll help him once. This is very normal. I also ate a bowl of your noodles, the tall, slender woman replied. The old guide showed a troubled expression. The tall, slender woman observed the old guide's changing expression and said, I can eat one more bowl, that way you won't interfere with our business, right? No, I've already used up all of my ingredients for today. You'll have to wait until tomorrow. The old guide shook his head. Hearing that, the tall, slender woman felt that this was extremely ridiculous. But that wasn't a problem. The old guide did indeed exist on the Gemini star, and his story was passed down in many worlds. Just now, I even saw him guiding a person with my own eyes. That person managed to avoid all dangers and successfully teleported to a so-called flying snow world. The tall, slender woman thought for a bit and said, In other words, the amount of food that you can provide each day is limited. As long as I eat enough first, he won't necessarily be able to eat anymore, indeed, and you won't side with him anymore, the tall, slender woman continued. You can understand it that way, the old guide replied. I understand now. The tall, slender woman looked at Gu Qingshan and held back her killing intent. In consideration of how I also ate a bowl of your noodles, I beg you not to tell him how to go to the world he wants to go to today, the old guide hesitantly said. I can, but I'll be leaving you in a bit. As for tomorrow, we'll talk about tomorrow's business tomorrow, the tall, slender woman said. Not today, this old man will help me today. Tomorrow, as long as I get ahead of him tomorrow. The tall, slender woman turned around and prepared to leave. Wait! Gu Shan shouted. The tall, slender woman stopped and coldly stared at him. In the age of old, you already had the 3 coins. If you wanted to achieve something, you could have just done it. Why did you still want to steal that abyssal weapon? Gu Shan asked. That's my business, why should I tell you? The tall, slender woman coldly replied. Because I have the twin swords heaven and earth. If there's anything you need help with, in consideration of how you once saved me in the spacetime vortex, I'm willing to help you achieve it, Gu Shan replied. The tall, slender woman looked at him like he was a monster. Gu Shan nodded and confirmed again. Without your coins, I wouldn't have been able to save the Earth Sword, nor would I have been able to return alive, the woman scoffed. I only did that so that you could take me to the sword, Gu Shan replied. Regardless of your goal, it doesn't change the fact that you did save me, the tall, slender woman mocked. Do you want to repay me? Then give me the twin swords heaven and earth. I can't give you my swords, but I can use them to help you, Gu Shan spoke in a low voice. The tall, slender woman fell silent. She evaluated Gu Shan again. You're a really strange person, she muttered. It's not that I'm strange, but after careful consideration, I realize that it's only because of your spells and coins that I've been able to reach the end and obtain the twin swords heaven and earth, Gu Shan sincerely told her. You didn't actually kill me, nor did you take the swords. Instead, I cut you into shreds and threw you into the countless fragments of parallel worlds. In the end, even after helping me so much, you didn't even harm a single hair on my body. To tell you the truth, there really isn't much of a grudge between the two of us. The tall, slender woman was originally listening with a calm expression, but now she raised her eyebrows and angrily shouted. It's still too early to tell who's going to die. Just you wait, Gu Shan, I'll definitely kill you. She turned into a blurred image, and quickly left this place. Gu Shan froze in place. After standing still for a while, he suddenly face-bombed and muttered in annoyance. Oh no, I said something wrong, what I said just now was a bit hurtful. Shanu released her inner sight to observe that the tall, slender woman had gone very far before she came closer and asked, Gongzi, what should we do next? Gu Shan pondered. We'll continue tomorrow, trick her into eating noodles? Yes, then what about now? We'll go to the next world, huh? Shanu raised her voice. We'll go to the next world today, then come back tomorrow to meet her. Gu Shan recalled the description of the next world on the star chart and replied to Shanu. Gongzi, I don't understand. Chapter 961. It was late at night. Gu Shan and Shanu walked along the stream towards the red brick house. On the way, they ran into a few more people. When they saw Shanu, all of them were overjoyed and begged her to guide them. Shanu didn't mind, so she pointed them in the right direction. However, this delay wasted a lot of time. To avoid being mistaken as the old guide again, Shanu temporarily turned back to her original appearance. Unfortunately, while no one asked for directions anymore, it also brought another problem. Little girl, you're so pretty. Why do you want to follow a sickly person? That's right, pretty girl, come with us. Hee, looks like you two are a couple. If you don't want him to die, come with us. A few burly men stood by the stream and laughed with malicious intentions. Shanu looked at Gu Shan. Kill, Gu Shan casually ordered. Yes, Gongzi, the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword turned into a blurred image and disappeared into the night. Swallow returns. Silver Star. Crescent Slash. Drawn Shadow. Shanu appeared a few dozen feet away with her sword wrapped around her body, lightly landing on top of the stream. Behind her, a pale blue sword phantom blossomed in the darkness like an orchid. The men didn't even have time to react before their hands and feet were chopped off and fell into the stream. It was only now that they let out an earth-shattering scream of pain. Gu Shan expressionlessly walked past them towards Shanu. Why didn't you just kill them? He asked. Shanu replied. Give them some time to reflect. Gu Shan nodded and didn't ask any further. The two of them continued to head towards the red brick house. The screams of pain were left behind, slowly becoming weaker until they couldn't be heard anymore. After a few miles, Shanna hesitated a bit and said, "Gongzi, this world isn't that big, so my inner sight can almost cover it all." Gu Qingshan knew that she still had something to say, so she asked, "Then what?" "I found a few injustices," Shanna replied. "Ah? What kind of injustices?" "For example, like what happened just now, as well as other kinds of bullying and enslavement." "Go on." "Since I've seen it, I don't want this to happen." "Yes." Shanu turned to look at him. "Gongzi, what do you mean by kill them all?" Gu Qingshan said as she pondered about the star atlas. On the entire star chart, the Gemini star was the starting point, so Gu Qingshan had to travel from here, pass through a few hidden worlds, and finally return to the 900 million world layers. The star chart was something the Earth Creator had prepared ahead of time. This great existence could see some of the future, and the things it prepared must have a deeper meaning. Fortunately, this big boss was on his side. A flash of light on the surface of the stream caught Gu Qingshan's attention, causing him to temporarily forget his previous thoughts. The Six Paths Great Mountain sword flew from afar and landed in front of Gu Qingshan. "Young master, I've killed them all." Shanu's voice came from the Six Paths Great Mountain sword. Gu Qingshan held the sword in his hand and soaked it in the stream. The blood was washed away. The sword once again glowed as bright as the autumn water. Shanu appeared and spoke with a carefree tone. "Gongzi, I've noticed something. What is it? How about we just stay on the Gemini star? Everyone's powers have been sealed, so with me here to take care of Gongzi, there won't be any issues." Gu Qingshan chuckled. "We can't be a cowardly turtle. What if someone destroys this world?" As soon as he said that, a thought flashed through his mind. A cowardly turtle. When I went from Baihua Palace to the Iron Fist Club, then from the Iron Fist Club to the Primordial Heaven Realm, I met a spirit tortoise. The spirit tortoise sent me into the phantom images. Unfortunately, the spirit tortoise couldn't follow me to the real age of old. I wonder how this guy who has lived for several 10,000 years is doing right now. Hearing Gu Qingshan's words, Shanu froze. That's right, even a powerful entity like the Earth Creator met with misfortune, let alone a single world like this. Shanu dejectedly said, "Seems like Gongzi will always be busy. It's fine, survival isn't easy in the first place, the apocalypse will only make this process more urgent. Not to mention, becoming stronger is a necessary thing. Once the apocalypse is over and everything is over, we'll be able to find a place to rest for a few hundred years. I really hope that day will come." Following the direction indicated on the star chart, Gu Qingshan and Shanu arrived at the red brick house. They easily found the crucial item inside one of the rooms. A wooden doll. Holding this doll, the two of them followed the stream to the end and saw a dry well. Standing in front of the well, Gu Qingshan asked, "Where's the Abyssal Fate Weaver?" "She's resting by the stream about 400 miles away." Shanu released her inner sight to check and replied. "All right, let's go." Gu Qingshan and Shanu jumped into the dry well, broke through the wall at the bottom of the well, and arrived at a treasure vault. Inside the vault, all the treasures had already been taken away, leaving only a few empty stone chests. In truth, this was only a bluff, as there were no treasures here at all. The true purpose of this place was to connect to a certain hidden world. Gu Qingshan started counting from the left, and stopped in front of the fifth stone chest. Indeed, this chest. Unfortunately, this chest could only fit one person at a time. Gu Qingshan looked at Shanu. Shanu obediently turned back into a sword, and was tied to Gu Qingshan's waist. Gu Qingshan jumped into the chest, closed the lid, and took out the wooden doll. At first, the doll didn't move at all, but very quickly, it began to speak. "Ah? I've been awakened." The doll looked up and looked around, then spoke in disbelief. "After so many years, someone actually managed to find this hidden path to the elemental fairy world," Gu Qingshan said. "I'll have to trouble you to take me there." will you return here? I will return. The doll nodded, took off one of its wooden legs, and put it in Gu Qingshan's hand. When you want to return from the elemental fairy world, give this wooden leg a squeeze. Yes, the doll jumped down from Gu Qingshan's hand and went back into the chest. It knocked on a certain part of the chest. A certain mechanism inside the chest seemed to have been activated as it began to shake intensely. A screen of light enveloped the entire chest. Gu Qingshan felt an immense force pulling his body into the void of space. In the blink of an eye, he had vanished from this world. At another location, 400 miles away, the tall, slender woman was sitting cross-legged on top of a large tree, silently thinking about what happened today. Do you want to repay me? Give me the twin swords, heaven and earth. I can't give you my swords, but I can use them to help you. Damn it, it's because I trusted people too easily that I was abandoned in the abyss and turned into an abnormal monster. I can't trust the lies of humans anymore. The tall, slender woman clenched her fists tightly. At the same time, at another location, within this era's primordial heaven realm, a figure silently appeared. This figure seemed to be very familiar with this place, glancing around before flying towards the floating mountain gate. A few moments later, the spirit tortoise's voice resounded. Why are you here? Everything in this world has come to an end. Chaotic energy is everywhere. It's very dangerous for you to stay here. You can recognize me? An immature female voice asked. Of course, although your form has been altered by some sort of technique, I know that you are you, the spirit tortoise replied. In front of it, a young girl with a jade-like complexion stood in the air. She had an air of detachment that didn't match her age or appearance, as well as a very serious but cute expression that seemed to be pretending to be serious. Recently, I sensed something, so I performed a divination. I discovered that the primordial heaven realm's past had undergone some sort of great change, but this change didn't affect the entirety of history at all. This was a very unimaginable matter, because no matter who tried to change the past, they would be erased by the immense inertia of history and the law of space-time. But even though history had clearly been changed, everything in the current timeline was still normal and unaltered. That's why I couldn't help but take a look. After all, the ruins of our barren cloud heavenly palace are still here, Xie Dao Ling solemnly explained. The spirit tortoise appeared emotional and slowly spoke. This is a long story, but in truth, the next sect master after you traveled through time and returned to the past. Chapter 962. The spirit tortoise was telling her about the events of the age of old. At the same time, Gu Qingshan left the Gemini star and traveled through the endless space vortex. A faint light slowly appeared in front of him. The sound of graceful singing and dancing could be heard from the light, calming anyone who heard it. Gu Qingshan was enveloped by the power of warp and went straight into the light. Thud! He stumbled and fell to the ground. The ground was soft. Gu Qingshan stood up in surprise and stepped on the luxurious and thick carpet. As far as the eye could see, the entire world was covered in a red carpet. The sound of melodious music occasionally resounded in the void of space. A young girl wearing a luxurious blue evening gown walked in front of Gu Qingshan. She observed Gu Qingshan and spoke in disdain. Your power is too chaotic, and you're a bit old. You're not suitable to dance with me. Saying so, the young girl left. Wait. As soon as Gu Qingshan said that, the young girl had already disappeared without a trace. He looked around. There really wasn't anyone. Gu Qingshan stood still in shock. I've already arrived at the elemental fairy world, but why can't I see anyone? At this point, a woman with a hot figure wearing a nightgown appeared in front of him. TSK, not bad. Unfortunately, the power of your lightning laws is too chaotic. You're not worthy of being my friend. Saying so, the woman turned around and left. Hey, Gu Qingshan hurriedly called out. Before Gu Qingshan could say another word, the woman had already disappeared without a trace. What exactly is? Gu Qingshan looked around. Other than the red carpet that covered the entire world, there was still nothing else to be seen. While he was hesitating, he suddenly remembered that his restricted powers had been restored. Gu Qingshan immediately released his inner sight to scan the surroundings. Still nothing. However, there were many sounds of conversation, laughter, chanting, light footsteps, the sound of plates being placed, the sound of wine glasses clinking, and so on in his spiritual sense. Although nothing could be seen, it seemed that the world was holding a grand ball. Suddenly, a few men in dignified attire appeared in front of him. They glanced at him, then turned around and disappeared. The wind carried the voices of these people. Did I enter by mistake? No, he has the aura of an invitation letter on him. It seems like some big shot sent him here. What a pitiful fellow. His aura is completely chaotic. No one would be willing to pay attention to him. That's right. I feel dizzy just by smelling this aura. The sound faded away. A few breaths later, another group of noblewomen suddenly appeared, walking past Gu Qingshan. TSK, this young man is very handsome, but unfortunately, his laws are a mess, otherwise I would really. That's enough from you. How can you only look at appearances? You don't say. I'm actually mesmerized by the billions of wailing souls behind him. I also like this kind of youth. Unfortunately, his elemental aura is too nauseating. I can't get close to him at all. With such a chaotic aura, he definitely isn't one of our guests. I really don't know where he came from. He's covered in chaotic elemental energy, even the guards don't care about him. Let's hurry up and leave. The noblewomen chatted among themselves as they disappeared into thin air. Gu Qingshan stood still and waited for a while longer. The noise around him grew louder and louder. The ball and banquet were slowly reaching its climax. But no one paid any attention to him while he stood here. It was as if the entire world had abandoned him. Gu Qingshan fell into thought and muttered in confusion. Did you bring me here purely to send me back, or do you have something you want to tell me? The Earth Creator was able to see countless fragments of the future. For a great entity like itself, everything it did had its own meaning. But now that I've arrived in this world of elemental fairies, I'm not welcomed at all. I can't see anything, as if I've been shut out. What should I do now? While Gu Qingshan was thinking, a hoarse female voice resounded in her ears. Child, why are you standing here by yourself? Gu Qingshan abruptly turned around, only to see an old woman in a black formal dress with a veil over her face carefully observing him. She wasn't very tall, her back was slightly hunched, her gray eyes as deep as the ocean. Ah, nice to meet you. I've just arrived at your realm and haven't found my way around yet, Gu Qingshan politely replied. The old woman spoke apologetically. Please don't take it to heart, as elemental fairies are very sensitive to auras. They have their own likes and dislikes, Gu Qingshan replied. I respect the likes and dislikes of others, and I've never interfered with such matters, the old woman asked further. You don't mind being looked down upon? Gu Qingshan helplessly replied. Of course I would feel a bit disappointed, but I don't usually try to please others, so I can accept it. What do you usually do? Save the world and kill people. The apocalypse of the infinite worlds is right in front of your eyes, but you still want to save the world, don't you feel tired? My days are still passable, but I really have to say that I have no interest in saving the world. If possible, please replace me with someone else, who can do anything about this? Work has always been a tiring and exhausting job. What do you like to do to relax when you're resting? I don't have any elegant hobbies, I just like to cook. I believe that. You carry the scent of a lot of delicious food. Unfortunately, the children were too scared to smell it, the old woman replied. Gu Qingshan doubtfully asked, Aura? What do you mean? The old woman smiled. Very well, I'll explain a bit for the elves. The majority of elemental fairies are very simple. Without the baptism of time, they wouldn't be able to understand what the aura on your body is like. The old woman reached her hand out and continued. Because they don't know, they would feel fear in their hearts. This is the nature of living beings. I think you should understand this, I do, Gu Qingshan politely replied. He reached out his hand to support her. The old woman led him forward, murmuring to herself, Water Fairy was attracted by your elemental lightning, then left because of your abyssal aura. The Fire Girl likes companions full of destructive elemental lightning, but left because of the magic dragon aura on your body. The guards were cautious because of your killing intent, while the noblewomen were afraid of you. In truth, their lives are nothing more than entertainment, occasionally responding to the call of other worlds and bestowing elemental power to others. In truth, they didn't realize that it wasn't your aura that they hated, but rather an indescribable fear of you, fear of the unknown? Gu Qingshan smiled. Indeed, you carry the remnant aura of a parallel world on your body. They don't understand this aura at all, but they can faintly sense this terrifying power, the old woman explained. You're saying that this is a terrifying power, Gu Qingshan confirmed again. Yes, you're too eye-catching right now. Once you're in a certain environment, you'll immediately attract everyone's attention because you're mixed with the causality of many parallel worlds. Fortunately, those causalities are only intermittent fragments, so they can still be resolved. Can you help me? Gu Qingshan asked. The old woman blinked at him. Of course I can help you. In truth, I've already noticed you as soon as you appeared in our world. Gu Qingshan's heart calmed down. Perhaps the Earth Creator sent me away from this world for this very reason. Other than that, I can't explain why it placed me in a world that I can't integrate into at all. Moreover, the other party knew his background. If you can help me erase these auras, I will be eternally grateful, Gu Qingshan said. The old woman smiled and patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder. This cloak of yours is quite decent, it's more than enough to conceal other auras, only the terrifying aura of a parallel world. I'll have to erase it. She raised her voice and chanted an incantation. Time cannot be messed up, only when it returns to its original trajectory can living beings be at peace. Instantly, Gu Qingshan felt a wave of warm water flowing through his body. He felt his body loosening up. It was as if something heavy and invisible had disappeared from his soul. 2 lines of glowing text appeared in the void in front of him. The ancient elemental fairy king. The fairy of time has thoroughly erased the parallel world aura from your body. A note. She is a fairy who has existed for eternity since the age of immemorial. Make sure to be cautious when speaking to her. It was rare for the war god Ui to give such a reminder, so Gu Qingshan immediately understood the severity of the situation. Venerable lady, thank you for helping me erase the parallel world aura. He hurriedly thanked her. Chapter 963. Gu Qingshan supported the old lady and walked forward together. Parallel world corrosion, duty. The old lady's words made him silently pay attention. He recalled that the Earth Creator also said something similar to stop the abyssal monsters from stealing the twin swords Heaven and Earth. However, what the Earth Creator said was to stop the abyssal monsters from obtaining the weapons of the eternal abyss and prevent people from entering parallel world. The Earth Creator didn't mention the parallel world corrosion. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then decided to ask. Milady, I have a small question. Speak, the old lady replied. You said that your duty is to erase the parallel world corrosion, but I've never seen any parallel worlds intersect with our world. Could it be that parallel worlds are also a threat? Gu Qingshan asked. It's not a threat, the old lady looked at Gu Qingshan, then added when his eyebrows loosened. It's the apocalypse. The apocalypse? Gu Qingshan was confused. The other party was the elemental fairy queen, a fairy that existed eternally in time and space, so Gu Qingshan believed that she wouldn't randomly lie about such a thing. The old lady didn't say anything and simply waved her hand in front of herself. The void of space scattered. Everything appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. A grand banquet was about to begin, while he and the old lady stood on the Grand Cathedral's royal viewing platform, watching the crowd below. The elemental fairies sensed the arrival of their queen, so they stopped their banquet and bowed to greet the old lady on the platform. No need to be so courteous. Have fun. The old lady waved her hand to greet the crowd below and smiled. Suddenly, a sharp scream resounded. That young man, I saw him just now. This was the voice of the water elemental fairy from before. The old lady made a mocking expression and told Gu Qingshan. She seems a bit regretful, Gu Qingshan politely replied. She was just a bit excited to see you. Do you think she's beautiful? Yes, of course, water elves have the most outstanding appearance and posture, I suddenly noticed that you're not too far away from Mahasvara King realm. Would you like me to bestow you a water elf kin? I appreciate your kindness, but I already have a beloved girl. The old woman's interest was piqued. She whispered, Water Fairy is the elemental spirit that is most compatible with humans. She can help you give birth to hundreds of children. You can definitely marry her. I can actually make the decision on this matter. Gu Qingshan's entire body stiffened, and she forced herself to say, But I can't even feed myself right now, and there are still many things that I have to do. That's true. It's indeed not suitable for you to start a family right now, the old woman said regretfully. Gu Qingshan breathed a sigh of relief. The old woman led him out of the platform and slowly walked towards the royal court. All right, let them play by themselves. Let's discuss your question, the old woman said as she walked. Indeed, venerable lady, I am a bit confused about the parallel world, because the Earth Creator has been preventing the monsters of the abyss from obtaining the twin swords Heaven and Earth, Gu Qingshan replied. Child, how is your memory? The old woman suddenly changed the topic and asked. Gu Qingshan was startled and replied, Not bad. Then do you remember anything that happened when you were young? That's a long time ago, I only remember a bit. When you were young, was there a time when you were particularly fond of swimming? Do you know? Yes, that's right, it was probably during the summer when I was 6 years old. Is there anything else that left a deep impression on you during that summer? Gu Qingshan appeared nostalgic and answered after a while. I seem to recall that many countries had signed the robot convention at the time, and the public screens around the poolside were showing this every day. The old woman clapped her hands and happily said, Let us take a look at what happened during the summer when you were 6 years old. Following her words, the entire world completely scattered into sand, disappearing from the surroundings of the two of them. The two of them appeared in a different scene. The sun was scorching hot. The weather was scorching hot. Gu Qingshan looked at her topless younger self, wearing a pair of cute swimming shorts while sitting by the pool. A large screen on the building next to the pool was showing an intense sports match. By the pool, quite a few people were staring at the screen, drinking beer while cheering for their favorite team. The young Gu Qingshan was also kicking the water with her feet while watching the match on the screen. The old woman said, I don't think I've seen any news about the robot convention, Gu Qingshan confirmed. It'll probably be shown after the match is over. I remember it very clearly, they'll definitely show something about the robot convention. The old woman chanted an incantation and smiled. Let's make time pass a bit faster. As if she had pressed the fast-forward button, everyone around the pool quickly moved. Time passed. Before they knew it, the public screen flashed. We'll now broadcast an important piece of news. The world's robot convention has been successfully established. Please read the details. On the screen, the world's leaders were sitting in a conference room, jointly announcing the news. We've established this convention to prevent the robots. Their voices came from the screen. For some reason, as Gu Qingshan saw this, she couldn't help but sigh in relief. Take a look. He pointed at the screen and spoke to the old woman. The old woman smiled. I can see it now. That's good, you've taken a turn and stepped onto a new path. However, what we need to observe now isn't the news you remember, but rather, the old woman clapped her hands. The voice on the screen disappeared. The leader of the country who spoke maintained his impassioned expression, his waving hand still in the air. Around the pool, everyone's movements stopped. Someone was licking the ice cream in his hand. Someone leapt high up into the water, his body hovering in the air without moving. Someone was yawning with his mouth wide open. Someone was paddling in the water, splashing water everywhere and freezing in the air. Is this time stop? Gu Qingshan asked. No, this is a space-time stop spell. A small trick that I'm good at. While answering, the old woman pointed around. Now I'm going to test you. Take a closer look at these people and find out what's wrong. Gu Qingshan was surprised. What's wrong? What does that mean? But since she said so, Gu Qingshan could only nod to express that he understood and walked towards the pool. While walking, he carefully observed his surroundings. The pool was normal. The crowd was normal. The buildings were normal. The screens and facilities were normal. After confirming the situation, Gu Qingshan turned to look at the old woman. The old woman's face was covered by a veil, so Gu Qingshan couldn't see her expression, but he could sense that she was smiling noncommittally. This attitude means that there really is something wrong with this place. This is just a normal scene from the past. How could there be anything wrong with it? While convincing himself, Gu Qingshan continued to walk around the pool. He released his inner sight and scanned the entire swimming pool. The pool was normal. The crowd was normal. The buildings were normal. The screens and facilities were normal. Wait a minute. Gu Qingshan suddenly stopped and looked at a young man. This man had a normal appearance, wearing swimming trunks, a can of beer in his hand, leaning back on a chair, watching the public screen. He seemed a bit excited, clenching his fist tightly, about to cheer. Cheer? Gu Qingshan observed this normal-looking man. He couldn't help but walk in front of the man, taking a closer look. Even though his inner sight allowed Gu Qingshan to see clearly, he still couldn't help but do this, as if he couldn't convince himself otherwise. As Gu Qingshan looked at the man, he felt a chill coming from his body. That's not right. Gu Qingshan was startled, feeling an unprecedented sense of fear gripping his heart. He quickly turned around to look at the scene on the public screen. On the screen, the leader of the country was still in the posture of giving a speech. His arm was still waving in the air. That's right. It really is news about the robot convention. Gu Qingshan turned around to face the young man again. The man's expression was a bit expectant, holding his breath, waiting for a certain moment to come. The man was ready to cheer and cheer. The scene on the screen was faintly reflected in his eyes. To capture a scene from a person's eyes, it required the use of specialized equipment in order to see it clearly. But with his inner sight, Gu Qingshan was able to clearly see what was being reflected in the man's eyes. In the man's eyes, a group of athletes were fiercely fighting for the ball. They were making their final effort to win the match. In the man's eyes, there was no such thing as the robot convention. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but take a few steps back. He released his inner sight to scan the entire swimming pool. Very quickly, he discovered a terrifying truth. Even though the news was being broadcasted on the screen, at least a third of the people here were still watching the ball game. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but take a step back. Even though we're in the same space-time, the robot convention is still being broadcasted. Why aren't there any of them watching it? This eerie scene was beyond his understanding of the world, completely overturning his memories. If I can't rely on anything that happens around me, then what else is real? What exactly is everything that I'm experiencing right now? Gu Qingshan closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and tried his best to remain calm. The old lady observed him, and was pleased to see how calm he was. This level of truth was more than enough to destroy a person's willpower, and this brat appeared to be much calmer than most. The old lady muttered to herself in satisfaction, "What a calm and collected brat, no wonder the Earth Creator wanted me to take a look at you." Gu Qingshan returned and respectfully asked, "Madam, I don't understand, what exactly is going on?" The old lady asked in return, "Do you remember what we were talking about at the start?" Gu Qingshan was surprised and couldn't help but recall. Indeed, the esteemed Elemental Fairy King had even personally helped me erase the presence of a parallel world. Chapter 964. There is no need to panic, my child. In truth, this is only a slight disturbance from a parallel world, the old lady calmly told her. A slight disturbance? Gu Qingshan asked. Indeed, when you were 6 years old, a parallel world was destroyed during the apocalypse. The impact of its destruction caused our world to become slightly chaotic, the result of which was the experiences of a certain number of people were different from others, because they experienced what happened in the parallel world at that time, and not what was happening in our space-time? That is exactly what happened, the old lady replied. Gu Qingshan pondered for a long while before continuing. In my world, there was once a famous person. Many people believed that he had died at a certain time, but he had actually always been alive. When he truly died, it caused a huge commotion. Everyone found out that their memories were all wrong. Furthermore, when many people gathered together to reminisce about the past, some people's memories were different from everyone else's. The old lady praised her. That is indeed the case. These are only minor disturbances caused by the destruction of a parallel world. There is no need to pay too much attention to them. Then what do we need to pay attention to? Gu Qingshan asked. Descending from a parallel world after its destruction, the old lady's voice slowly became lower. In truth, our main concern is for the things that come from the parallel world, she continued to explain. When a parallel world is destroyed, a few things that deviate from the parallel law would most likely descend into our world. One of them would be entities that escaped from the apocalypse. Entities that managed to survive until the very last moment of the apocalypse were all the most powerful individuals or races. Because of that, when a parallel world is destroyed and all the laws of that world collapse, these individuals or races would no longer be bound by the parallel law and would most likely escape into our world. That is still acceptable, but there is another situation that we are most afraid of. At this point, the old lady couldn't help but deeply sigh. Gu Qingshan asked further, "What is that?" The old lady didn't answer her directly and instead said, "An apocalypse that can completely destroy a parallel world is extremely terrifying. Do you understand that?" Gu Qingshan thought briefly and nodded. If there was a type of calamity that could destroy the entire 900 million world layers, the eternal abyss, the space-time labyrinth, every single place within the 900 million world layers, as well as all living beings within it, then this calamity would definitely be terrifying, almost unstoppable. Gu Qingshan answered with uncertainty. But that's a parallel world apocalypse, it wouldn't happen in our world. That should be the case, right? Of course, the apocalypse will not leave its original world. At this point, the old lady's tone became even colder. But after a parallel world is destroyed, its remains may bring some sort of apocalyptic disaster to our world. Gu Qingshan exclaimed in shock. If it's an apocalyptic disaster that could destroy the world, wouldn't our world be destroyed as well? The old lady shook her head. For the corpse of a parallel world and the apocalypse it carried, it would be very difficult to change from a parallel state to a descended state. It would consume a large amount of power. Those apocalyptic calamities that descended upon our world are no longer as powerful, so they don't cause too much of an impact. At least under normal circumstances. Gu Qingshan repeated. The old lady smiled and continued. You've run into a man-killer fiend and a man-eater fiend, correct? Indeed, that was a parallel world apocalypse. Originally, it swept through the entire space of that parallel world. Not only were there man-killer fiends and man-eater fiends, there were also over 1,000 different forms, some of which couldn't be resisted at all and directly destroyed billions of worlds. Although this apocalypse managed to reach our world, it had already used up all of its power, leaving only the man-killer fiends and man-eater fiends. That's why I was able to deal with them, Gu Qingshan added. Correct, then the game of eternal. It was also a weakened version of the apocalypse. Originally it forced all living beings to participate. Aside from that, the corpse of a parallel world would also affect our world. For example, as we said before, many people were in the same space-time, but went through many different things. What's the biggest threat? Gu Qingshan suddenly asked. The old lady looked at him and went silent. Gu Qingshan also went silent. That's right. This was only under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances, everything was fine. But aside from normal circumstances, there were also unexpected, unknown, indescribable, and incomprehensible situations. The old lady suddenly smiled and looked up at him. You've grown up, even within the 900 million world layers, you're already a Lord-class figure, you're about to shoulder your responsibilities, so you should know a bit of the truth. She waved her hand in the void of space. The sky, the earth, the skyscrapers, the swimming pool, the screen of light, the people, everything disappeared. What replaced them was a dark, obscured space. Gu Qingshan looked at her in confusion. She gestured. This is the final moment of the Earth Creator's life. I hope you can take a look. Gu Qingshan then looked towards the boundless void of space, only to see a bright and resplendent nebula filled with gray turbulence, quickly moving towards a certain direction. Gu Qingshan sensed a familiar presence from it. Indeed, this was the Earth Creator. It turned into a nebula and gradually appeared in front of a door made entirely of bronze. This gate was so gigantic that even the nebula paled in comparison. This scene seemed to have been shrunk down countless times by the old lady to be able to see it in its entirety. Otherwise, Gu Qingshan doubted that even if he was here, he wouldn't know what happened. The nebula stopped in front of the gate, turned into a giant covered in gray air, and reached its hand out to push the bronze gate open. The Earth Creator, as it placed its hands on the bronze gate, it seemed to have noticed something and sighed deeply. So that's how it is. I had thought that the future I foresaw was ridiculous, but who knew this would happen in the age of old? So everything makes sense. The gray air around the Earth Creator quickly disappeared, as if it had been erased into thin air. Following that, its legs also began to crumble into fine dust that scattered into the void of space before disappearing without a trace. The Earth Creator's body began to collapse and disappear. At the very last moment, it tossed out a bright star and shouted, "Disintegrate!" When the star heard this, it immediately streaked across the sky and flew toward the depths of the endless world. The Earth Creator looked towards the old lady and spoke in a low voice. I know you can definitely see this. My fate has ended, the rest is up to you. It finally chanted. Your death is the only path for all living beings, and I shall be the first saying so. It disappeared from the bronze gate. The old lady waved her hand. The scene faded away. Gu Qingshan found herself and the old lady standing in the middle of a luxurious royal palace with no one around. Why did it suddenly die? Gu Qingshan asked in a low voice. The old lady took out a handkerchief and wiped the corner of her eyes. It can't be helped, this is the most terrifying aspect of a parallel world. Fate corrosion. What is fate corrosion? As you can see, when a parallel world is destroyed, it will cause a slight deviation in our world. This is also a type of fate corrosion, but as you said, we don't need to pay too much attention to such a situation. Indeed, when the deviation is small enough, we can simply ignore it, but there is a certain situation that surpasses the limits of what we can deal with. Parallel worlds that are countless times more powerful than us. When they are destroyed, they will invade our world and change the fate of everyone in our world. For example, the Earth Creator is still alive and well in our world, but near the Bronze Gate there is a parallel world that has already been corroded. This parallel world is incredibly powerful, constantly fighting against the apocalypse, breaking away from the definition of parallel and falling into our eternal abyss, right next to the reality gate. As soon as the living beings of our world approach the reality gate, their fate will be completely assimilated and corroded. Gu Qingshan went silent for a while, then asked, "What you mean is, in that parallel world, the Earth Creator is already dead, so whenever the Earth Creator of our world approaches it, it must accept this fate?" That is indeed the case. Even as powerful as it was, it couldn't resist this fate. Gu Qingshan was still unwilling to accept it. Wait a minute, I can't accept this. How could such a powerful entity be killed by something as intangible as fate? Child, this is the fate of an entire parallel world. It isn't something a single person can go against. Not even I can do it, the old lady sighed. Which means our eternal abyss is currently enduring the fate of that powerful parallel world, as well as the aftermath of that parallel world's apocalypse. You're right again, child, you are very smart, as expected of the person that the Earth Creator valued so highly, the old lady praised her. She reached out and took out a bright star. Her expression became solemn and cautious. Earth, water, fire, and wind are the 4 saint pillars that make up this world, none of them can be missing. Take this, from today onwards, you will be the new earth of the 4 saint pillars. Chapter 965. As soon as the bright silver star was taken out, Gu Qingshan's inventory bag twitched a bit. The gold coin jumped out and circled around the blinding star. Ding, 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 it let out a choking and sobbing sound. The old lady sighed. This is the Earth world's life star, as well as a part of the gold coin. They can sense each other, and only by holding both of them can one wield the Earth Saint Pillar. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan finally understood. No wonder the gold coin couldn't sense the Earth Creator's death. Because the Earth Creator left the silver star as a legacy at the very last moment of its life, not allowing it to be destroyed along with itself. Because of that, while the gold coin could sense that the silver star was still intact in the Earth world, it couldn't sense the Earth Creator through the silver star, nor could it determine the Earth Creator's exact situation. Gu Qingshan still insisted. Before I left the Earth world, I received a few words from the Earth Creator. It told me not to save it. This proves that it was still confident, the old lady explained. At the time, it mistakenly believed that the calamity related to it would occur in the future, not realizing that it would only encounter a calamity when it returned to the age of old. Because of that, even though it was able to foresee the future, it still made a mistake. Because of that, it left us, the old lady waved her hand at the gold coin. The gold coin fell into her hand and fused with the silver star. A blinding flash of light. A gold and silver coin with complicated runes and patterns appeared in the old lady's hand. Take it, you shall become the new earth of the 4 saint pillars, the old lady gestured to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan hesitantly replied, My strength is still miles away from the Earth Creators. I'm worried that I won't be able to handle such a heavy responsibility. The old lady smiled and replied, For you, it is indeed too early, so leave everything else to us. You only need to protect the Earth world. But this coin is too precious. I'm worried that I won't be able to protect it, Gu Qingshan said. You won't be able to protect it? Child, it seems you have misunderstood something. This coin's purpose is to protect you. Unless you allow it, no one else would be able to learn anything about this coin. In the age of old, earth, water, fire, and wind were known as the 4 pillar gods that created the world. None of them can be missing, the old lady encouraged her further. Gu Qingshan, you did very well in the earth world and received the recognition of the coin, while the earth god represented the will of the Earth Creator. The earth god had also chosen you, so you are suitable. Not allowing her to refuse, the gold and silver coin with intricate patterns, the old lady gently placed it in Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath and said, All right, I'll make it clear first. I'm currently unable to reach the Earth Creator's level. Don't think too much. The road ahead is still long. You just need to do what you think is right and slowly grow, the old woman said with a smile. The coin instantly God that into Gu Qingshan the coin star. As it disappeared, a few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI frowny face unique item. The coin of the earth has fused with you. Before you become strong enough, it will not appear in front of you again. You've obtained a certain status. You've become the master of the 4 saint pillars. Thanks to the manifestation of the Earth Saint Pillar's power, you've obtained 3 abilities. True luck. True luck surrounds you for a duration of 12 hours. Description: Luck isn't omnipotent, keep that in mind, the coin's own explanation. You can't do anything without luck, isn't that right? Absolute prohibition. Any target you strike will have all of their supernatural powers sealed away, duration 1 minute of protection. Regardless of where you are, you will be able to return to the Earth world. A special note. You can only use one of the above 3 abilities at a time, and you must rest for 30 days after using them before you can choose another ability to use. A description. Enemy-killing swordsmanship is hidden deep within your mind. When you are qualified, you will slowly comprehend it. Description. Before you become strong enough, the coin of the earth will not appear in front of you again. Thanks to the power of fusion, the power of the coin of the earth can now be used. Gu Qingshan quickly skimmed through everything. He took a deep breath and spoke with a bit of unease. "Milady, you've directly given me such a precious item. Don't thank me," the old lady cut him off. "You've already saved too many lives before this, you've averted too many calamities and apocalypses, so from the unseen world, a greater responsibility will fall upon you. This is the law of fate." Seeing Gu Qingshan's anxious expression, the old lady chuckled. "Don't worry, it's still too early for you to fight alongside us. We will protect you and give you enough time to grow." She took out a snow-white piece of parchment, lightly cut her finger and left a bright red fingerprint on it. "You do the same." The old lady gave the parchment to Gu Qingshan. As Gu Qingshan received it, the parchment was written in ancient elven script frowny-face by this secret covenant. The controller of time, the sand of inextinguishable, the legendary Milady, the queen of elemental elves, the elf of time whose real name is Fusey, and the master of the earth Saint Pillar, Gu Qingshan, hereby make a secret covenant that all information related to the earth Saint Pillar shall be sealed and kept secret by her, until the master of the earth Saint Pillar, Gu Qingshan, dissolves this covenant. Thank you for your care. I am truly grateful. Gu Qingshan clasped his fist. With this covenant, no one would ever discover his true identity again. He would be able to slowly grow until the day he becomes strong enough. Gu Qingshan made a cut on his finger and left a fingerprint on the parchment. Ho! Flames erupted from the parchment and quickly devoured the entire parchment. The old lady patted Gu Qingshan's arm and said, "Very well, child, go do what you need to do. I can already see it. One day in the future, at that crucial moment, we will meet again. I hope I'll be able to become stronger at that time," Gu Qingshan replied. In truth, there are 5 possibilities regarding your strength in the future. Do you want to hear them to determine your direction? Gu Qingshan smiled. "What the future holds will depend on how hard I work right now, so I only need to do what I need to do, no need to ask too much." The old lady was a bit surprised, then her eyes glowed. She laughed heartily. "That's right, as soon as you said that, I saw a few more better possibilities for you. What a delightful young one. Let me help you in secret." She took out an amber ring and gave it to Gu Qingshan. "Your eyes contain the true meaning of your swordsmanship. I've thought about it for a bit and felt that there is a power that suits you very well." "What is the power you speak of?" "In the words of you cultivators, this power is called a thaumaturgy. When you reach the next realm, this ring will bring you to the remains of a parallel world, where you will obtain this power that I'm talking about." "Thank you for your generosity. Now you can go do what you need to do, young one. Farewell, milady, farewell." Gu Qingshan took out the wooden doll's leg and squeezed it. In a split second, an extremely strong pulling force came over. Gu Qingshan was directly pushed out of the elemental fairy's world. The old lady stood still and thought for a bit, then turned around to leave. Suddenly, a voice came from beside her. "You entrusted the will of the earth to him, then showed him the path, but he is still so weak. Is that good?" The old lady asked in return. "If I don't even do that, what kind of elven king would I be? Or rather, what are you worried about?" The voice explained, "I'm worried that he will become too reliant on the power you gave him and lose his will to fight, no longer trying his best to improve himself." The old lady didn't mind. "It's fine, he is worthy of it." The voice was confused. "Milady, why do you think so highly of this young one?" "Because before he came, I specifically returned to the river of time to observe what he had done. I feel that the Earth Creator didn't choose the wrong person." Chapter 966. It was completely dark. Gu Qingshan abruptly looked up. The lid of the large box had been knocked open. The only things in the room were empty boxes. Other than that, there was nothing else. This was the secret room of the Gemini star. Gu Qingshan had returned from the world of the elemental fairies. Suddenly, he felt something struggling in his hand. Looking down, he saw that it was the doll's leg. As soon as he let go, the doll's leg slipped from his hand into the box and was put back into the doll's body. "I'm so tired, I need to go back and rest for a bit. If you want to go to the world below again, you can call me at the red brick house," the doll tiredly said. Gu Qingshan crouched down and clasped his fist. "You've worked hard, I don't know how to thank you." The doll was about to leave, but hesitated as it heard that. "You're a cultivator?" it asked. "Yes," Gu Qingshan replied. "Do you have spirit stones? Just let me take a look, because I've collected a lot of rocks, but I've never seen a spirit stone before," the doll nervously asked. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then took out a spirit stone and put it in front of the doll. He purposefully picked out a top-grade spirit stone of the highest quality, as it looked almost transparent like a crystal. As soon as this top-grade spirit stone was taken out, it gave off a faint white mist that drifted around the spirit stone. This white mist was the spirit energy that the spirit stone gave off. A normal person would feel refreshed just by smelling it. "So this is a spirit stone, how beautiful!" The doll happily touched the spirit stone and said. "I'll give it to you," Gu Qingshan said. "For me? Can I really?" The doll looked up at him with a look of longing. Gu Qingshan sincerely replied, "Of course I can, I have a lot of spirit stones, giving me a single one is nothing to me, please accept it, this represents my sincerity." The doll was overjoyed and cheered. "That's great, I've got another type of rock in my collection, I'm one step closer to having an exhibition." It nodded at Gu Qingshan, took the spirit stone, and disappeared into the void of space. Gu Qingshan was infected by the little wooden puppet's happiness and also smiled. Suddenly, he felt an inexplicable throbbing. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but shake her body. "Gongzi!" Shanu's anxious voice called out. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath and said, "It's nothing, it's probably the cultivation tribulation." After leaving everything behind in the Earth world, and hiding in the desert for a long and steady period of cultivation, it was finally time to reap the rewards. The cataclysm would begin in a few days. Gu Qingshan fell silent. A thought flashed through his mind. He seemed to have recalled something just now. Gu Qingshan pondered, trying to get that thought out of her head. "Gongzi, there's still a bit of time, we need to quickly deal with the abyssal fate weaver," Shanu's voice resounded. Since Gu Qingshan's train of thought was cut off, he could only reply, "But the other party is an eternal entity, we need to think of a solution first." After saying that, the thought just now had already disappeared without a trace, so he couldn't recall it right now. Gu Qingshan stood up from the box, left the secret room, and went to the bottom of the well. Indeed, just like Shanu said, it was time to face the abyssal fate weaver again. But the thought I had before seems to be very important as well. Just as he was thinking, he was suddenly attracted by another matter. This was a very serious problem. Although the well wasn't very tall, the walls were smooth and had no place to climb. On the Gemini star, the powers of all living beings were in a sealed state, so as a normal person, Gu Qingshan couldn't climb up right now. Because of that, he once again gave up on that thought and had to deal with the matter at hand first. There was no other way to climb up. After thinking for a bit, he could only, "Shanu? Gongzi, I'm here." Shanu appeared. Don't worry Gongzi, I'll do it." Shanu smiled as she lifted Gu Qingshan up, hugged him by the waist and flew upwards. At this time, on the Gemini star, the night had already passed. The sun had just risen, its light shone through the clouds, illuminating the stream below, giving the entire world a warm, hazy hue. Within the light, a beautiful woman carrying a young man flew out from the dry well and stably landed on the ground. "Ha, this planet, ha, this seal I don't like it." Gu Qingshan cleared his throat and spoke in a hurried manner. He quickly left Shanu's embrace and stood up. Shanu smiled so brightly that her eyes looked like crescent moons, silently stood on one side and didn't say anything. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but continue. "We need to hurry up, go and see where the Abyssal Fate Weaver is." Shanu released her inner sight to scan the entire planet. "She's downstream of the stream, looking for the old guide." "Very well, let's go meet her again and see what kind of secret she has." "What should we do?" "Wheel first, downstream of the stream." The tall, slender woman closed her eyes, standing motionlessly on top of a large rock. Since this morning, she had already searched along the stream twice, but still couldn't find any trace of the old guide. This old man is too mysterious, there's no way for her to grasp his whereabouts. Perhaps he's the master of the Gemini star? Right now, she had no choice but to rely on her highly developed sense of smell to sense the various scents. The last time she found the old guide, it was also because of the smell of noodles carried by the wind that I was able to find him. My speed is much faster than Gu Qingshan's, so if the old guide meets someone and starts to cook noodles, I'll definitely be able to smell the fragrance of the noodles. I can only pray that the first person to meet the old guide today won't be Gu Qingshan. Time slowly passed. The wind blew. The tall, slender woman was still motionless. All of a sudden, an extremely faint smell of broth wafted towards her. The tall, slender woman abruptly opened her eyes, turned into a blurred image, and flew towards a certain direction. She was running against the stream as fast as she could, constantly increasing her speed. Faster. A bit faster. I must eat the old guide's noodle soup before Gu Qingshan does. The tall, slender woman made it all the way to the middle of the stream. Following a bend in the stream, a scene suddenly appeared in front of her. Gu Qingshan was receiving a large bowl of soup from the old guide. The tall, slender woman's heart sank. Damn it, I was one step ahead of her. But it's still not certain who will win in the end. The tall, slender woman quickly crouched down and picked up a few rocks. "Ha!" she roared and threw the rocks one by one. The rocks flew like cannonballs towards Gu Qingshan, but suddenly stopped in midair. The old guide glared at her. "Little girl, what are you doing? Don't disturb others when they taste my noodles." While he was talking, Gu Qingshan had already picked up the bowl and ate the first mouthful of noodles. "Delicious," he praised, then proudly glanced at the tall, slender woman. The tall, slender woman felt a chill in her heart, but was quickly filled with anger. "No, I have to think of a way, I can't give up so easily." She held back her killing intent and walked next to the old guide. "Old sir, I also want to eat a bowl of noodles," she politely said. The old guide's anger instantly disappeared as he hurriedly replied, "Ah, that's fine, wait a bit." A few moments later, a bowl of steaming hot noodles was ready. The tall, slender woman glanced at Gu Qingshan. "He's only halfway through. If I finish before him, I'll be able to eat a bowl of noodles right away. The old guide only makes a limited amount of noodles every day, so as long as I eat more than Gu Qingshan, the old guide won't protect me anymore." With that in mind, the tall, slender woman picked up a pair of chopsticks and started wolfing down the noodles. Gu Qingshan also glanced at her. "Tch, eating so fast, be careful not to choke," he advised her. The tall, slender woman glared at him as her chopsticks quickly moved through the bowl of noodles. She finished it. She drank all the soup in the bowl. She held the bowl with both hands and offered it to the old guide, thanking him. "The food is delicious, please give me another bowl." "Thank you very much, yes, if you like it, I'll cook you another bowl of noodles," the old guide happily said. The old guide began to cook the noodles again. Taking this chance, the tall, slender woman looked at Gu Qingshan. Their eyes met. I was wrong about what I said yesterday. I apologize, Gu Qingshan sincerely said. The tall, slender woman turned around and ignored him. Gu Qingshan scratched his head and glanced at the old guide. Since I'm still angry, how about I ask a question first? Seeing Gu Qingshan's gaze, the old guide cleared his throat and asked the tall, slender woman, "Why do you insist on obtaining the twin swords heaven and earth?" Mystic secret skill. See you again, activate. The tall, slender woman fell into a dazed state as if she had fallen into an illusion. Her expression was full of reminiscence as she replied, "I wanted to chase after those who betrayed us and escaped, as well as take a look at what was behind the reality gate. Unfortunately, the reality gate was isolated by a destructive power. Even abyssal monsters with eternal life would completely die as soon as they approached the reality gate. There is a saying in the abyss, that the abyssal monsters who completely died were corrupted by another type of fate. That's why they died. I don't understand such a strange saying, but many monsters with terrifying strength have confirmed this saying. Within the abyss, there is only a single weapon that can resist the corruption of fate, which is the sword that betrays fate, the weapon of demon suppression at the bottom of the endless abyss, the protector of destruction, the twin swords heaven and earth. Chapter 967. As soon as she said that, the tall, slender woman paused. As the effects of "see you" once more disappeared, the tall, slender woman's confused expression disappeared and regained her vigilance and cautiousness. Gu Qingshan also retracted her contemplative expression and silently muttered in her mind, "This woman has guts." Because she was abandoned by humanity's upper echelons once, after she turned into an abyssal monster, she wanted to steal the twin swords heaven and earth and fearlessly slaughter her way to the other side of the reality gate to take revenge on those who betrayed her. Other than that, she also did the same after failing to steal the twin swords from me. Because she was cut into shreds and scattered among the countless phantom images, as soon as she revived, she received the news from somewhere and hurried outside the earth world to wait for my return. From the age of old until now, several 10,000 years had passed. And as soon as I left the earth world, I ran into her. Obviously, she was waiting outside the earth world. While Magic Dragon and the Soul Shrieker weren't that persistent, both of them were busy with their own matters. This really is. I can't afford to offend her. This woman is undying. Even if I kill her here, there's no telling when she'll revive. With her personality, she'll definitely return to the 900 million world layers to cause trouble for me. If at that time, while I'm planning to save Lady Black Sea and the other lords, she suddenly appears, who knows how I'll be able to deal with her at that time. I really can't afford to offend her. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan's attitude became a bit more sincere and called out from afar, "Hey, I sincerely want to help you. As long as you don't care about what happened in the past, I'm willing to help you." The tall, slender woman still had her back to him and scoffed, "I know you're very good at deceiving people, so don't think that I'll fall for it again." Gu Qingshan sighed and signaled the old guide with her eyes. When the old guide saw this, he scooped a bowl full of noodles that had just been cooked. He held it up and said, "All right, young man, here are your noodles." "Ah, thank you, old sir." Gu Qingshan received the bowl of noodles. The tall woman suddenly turned around and asked, "Old mister, I was the one who asked for another bowl. Why did you give it to him?" The old guide smiled and said, "When this young man came, he said he wanted 2 bowls, so I had to give it to him first. First come, first served, don't you think?" The tall, slender woman was stunned. She couldn't help but look at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan spread out her hands and said, "I was indeed here first, but to express my sincerity, I can let you have this bowl." The tall, slender woman immediately told the old guide. "He gave it to me." The old guide looked at Gu Qingshan, then at the tall, slender woman, helplessly said, Fine, as long as you're willing to eat my noodles. The old guide handed the bowl of soup to the tall, slender woman. The tall, slender woman immediately began eating. She looked at Gu Qingshan warily as she ate her noodles. At that moment, the old guide started to cook another bowl of noodles. He said, "Since this bowl is for the young lady, the next bowl should be for the young man." The tall, slender woman's heart sank. If that's the case, Gu Qingshan is going to catch up to us again. The old guide pays particular attention to first come, first serve. Today, since Gu Qingshan came to find him first, every time he made a bowl of noodles, he would definitely give it to Gu Qingshan first. The tall, slender woman's eyes moved a bit, then finally spoke to Gu Qingshan. "If you really want to express your sincerity, then let me have the next bowl as well." Hearing that, Gu Qingshan appeared troubled. Just as the tall, slender woman was about to mock her a bit, Gu Qingshan hesitantly said, "If I give it to you, then the old guide will help you kill me." The tall, slender woman didn't give him a chance to find excuses and quickly said, "That's why this is a test for you, whether you really want to help me, or are you just saying that. Now is the time to see." Gu Qingshan anxiously thought for a while, then finally sighed. "Fine, I'll give you the next bowl as well." The tall, slender woman appeared a bit surprised. Did he really give up the next bowl of noodles? If that's the case, I and the old guide would be able to take his life in a matter of minutes. He's even willing to put his life on the line. Could it be that he really wants to help me? At this point, the tall, slender woman felt a strange sensation in her heart. We're clearly enemies, but he seems to want to make peace and even help me. The tall, slender woman lowered her head and continued to eat the noodles with uncertainty in her mind. She finished the entire bowl of noodles. Seeing that, the old guide took the chance to ask, "What's your weakness?" "Mystical skill. See you once again, activated." The tall, slender woman appeared confused and couldn't help but answer, "I fear nothing in battle, and I can quickly awaken after death. Only when the ring of vow on my left index finger is my abilities temporarily sealed. This is my only weakness." Gu Qingshan and the old guide exchanged surprised glances. Such a strange and secretive weakness, if she didn't say it herself, no one would have been able to find out. After saying so, the blurry expression on the tall, slender woman's face slowly disappeared without a trace. She had retreated from the influence of the mystical skill. Gu Qingshan and the old guide both regained their calm expressions and returned to their previous state. The tall, slender woman didn't seem to notice that she had said anything. She brought the bowl of noodles to the old guide and thanked him. "Thank you for your food, it was extremely delicious. Please give me the next bowl of noodles as well." "You can still eat?" the old guide asked in surprise. The tall, slender woman smiled. "A bowl of noodles isn't that much, but I like it a lot, and it's been a long time since I've eaten such delicious food." The old guide looked at her, then at Gu Qingshan and asked with uncertainty, "Young man, the next bowl of noodles was originally yours. Are you really going to give it to this young lady?" Gu Qingshan waved her hand dismissively. "I'll give it to her, I need to show her my sincerity." "All right, that's a matter between you youngsters, I won't interfere," the old guide replied. After saying so, the old guide began to cook the noodles. The tall, slender woman cautiously stared at Gu Qingshan and asked, "What exactly are you planning? I've even given my own noodles to you. Can't you trust me just this once?" Gu Qingshan sighed. The tall, slender woman crossed her arms and didn't answer. It wasn't until the old guide finished cooking the noodles and gave them to her that her expression slowly changed. This time, the tall, slender woman wasn't in a hurry and simply ate the noodles slowly. Halfway through, she suddenly looked up. "Gu Qingshan, I didn't think you'd be able to do this." Since I've already eaten the noodles, the old guide wouldn't help Gu Qingshan anymore. "I'm also stronger than Gu Qingshan, so I can fight for a long time. While Gu Qingshan has become a normal person, his stamina wouldn't be as good as mine in a prolonged battle. As long as I'm willing, I can kill him today." Gu Qingshan nodded. Of course, you're so powerful, and you've helped me in the age of old, I really can't think of a reason to deceive you. Then give me the twin swords Heaven and Earth, the tall, slender woman said. The spirit of the twin swords Heaven and Earth have already recognized a master. You won't be able to use them even if you take them, Gu Qingshan replied. This was the truth. Once a weapon has recognized a master, no one else would be able to use it, unless the weapon spirit was erased. But that would also greatly damage the weapon, making it unable to exert its full power. The tall, slender woman asked in irritation, "But you're so weak, how are you going to help me?" Gu Qingshan patiently replied, "We can slowly plan this out. As long as you no longer view me as an enemy, I'm naturally willing to listen to your orders." The tall, slender woman tilted her head and looked at him. A while later, "Who would have thought, but you seem to be quite sincere this time," she commented. Her attitude has finally softened. Gu Qingshan sighed. "You simply don't understand me very well. After getting to know me more, you'll find that I've always been sincere." The tall, slender woman scoffed with a complicated expression on her face, but didn't say anything else. The old guide lowered his head on one side, trying his best to control his expression. The tall, slender woman's third bowl of noodles was also about to be finished. This really is. Not only did he successfully trick her into falling for 3 mystic rank skills, he even made her believe that he was sincere in helping her. Gongzi is truly a swindler among swindlers. Please remember this book's original domain name. Mobile version. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.